make it a boosh. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Hey. Welcome to the show.
We do not make intro songs for anyone wondering. That is not a thing we've done. But if you need one, we could possibly do it. Guys, welcome to the Cowboys CanFan show. And we have a special guest, our draft analyst, who we usually bring on in the offseason. But he took some time out of his busy holiday schedule to hop on and talk a little bit of Cowboys football. EJ Savage is in the hizzy.
Hey.
EJ, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. The holidays, I went to 3 Christmas parties, one for my side, one for my wife's side, and then a little thing that we do, just me and her and stuff like that. And so it was good holidays. I'm looking forward to the new year. I got another little one coming.
Oh, congrats.
Another
January
baby
8th
Savage.
is the schedule. So yeah, another baby Savage. That'll put me into the 2 category. So I'm excited.
You have a little tag team.
Exactly.
And is it you have a girl already?
Yep.
And
It's
so
another girl. So I'm sticking. I'm like Dak Prescott here, just straight girl dadding it.
You're girl
that's all right.
dad in it. Yep.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong
Yep.
with a couple girl dads. Bandwagon boys, how the hell are yous?
Doing well, feeling good.
I'm under the weather. I'm under the weather, but that's why I'm gonna get one of these in me.
Yeah, crack 'em if you got 'em, son.
That poison will help.
Ad's
clear
under
it.
weather. I'm a little. I just feel like I'm low energy right now. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just still kind of. These 2 back-to-back losses are. I don't know if that's the reason.
They're rearing you.
They're kind of fucking with me a little bit. It's been a minute since we've had that, and I need to battle through it.
Let me just help maybe with your thinking. Of course, those 2 wins would have improved the Cowboys' chances of where they're going to end up in the playoffs. But technically, nothing has changed since 3 weeks ago.
And I posted on the IG at Cowboys CanFan for anyone that's on Instagram and wants to send me DMs of their wieners or their whatever you want to send. I don't mind.
Boners.
But boners, that would also be it. But if you look at the NFC playoff picture right now, our way to the Super Bowl right now actually isn't that bad. Right now we're matched up to play the Buccaneers at Tampa Bay, which we did last year. And arguably the team last year that we played, the Bucs team we played last year, is scarier than they are this year. Like I'm not really scared of Baker Mayfield. What about you, EJ?
Yeah.
Do you right now looking at the NFC playoff picture? Are you
I
scared?
feel the same
of that?
way. I think that the Bucs are significantly worse without Tom Brady. I think that we're better with Brandon Cooks, with Gilmore. Obviously, we don't have Diggs. A better version of Micah Parsons, in my opinion. Tank has been playing amazingly, even though he hasn't been getting the sacks. Just in that run defense department, he's been amazing. So I feel better about our team now going into that game versus last year, and so I think that's kind of an easy victory for us. Maybe I'm a little bit over optimistic, but yeah, I feel like that first playoff game is going to be money either way. If we get the 2 seed, we're going to be playing at home against a lesser opponent, or if we're stuck at that 5 seed, we're going to be going against Tampa Bay. So
The only
it's
shitty
one of those things, man. Either or.
The only shitty thing with that is I felt like we should have had for sure wins against Buffalo and Miami also. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I feel a little bit down, I guess, about it, is because I've expected more. The only saving grace for me is they were both AFC teams that we don't play a lot. Like you don't play against the AFC very often, especially the AFC South, right? It doesn't happen very often. Whereas the Bucs, we've played them in the postseason the last three years, right? So at least there's some familiarity with the teams that we're gonna play in the postseason. So I do agree with what AJ said, that there hasn't been much that's changed going into going into the Bills game, going into the Miami game. The only main thing I'd say is the Dak Prescott MVP talk is kind of gone.
Yeah.
For now.
For now.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, if I can chime in a little bit, I think that with the Buffalo Bills, McDermott, and then with the Miami Dolphins with Vic Fangio, those are 2 of the best defensive minds in the league. They did a really, really good job against our offense. Now, our offense in the Miami game was a lot better, but that kind of helped with the yards after the catch of CeeDee Lamb taking that one all the way to the house.
To the
That was really nice to see,
hizzy!
but it's one of those games that I was hesitant to really jump on and say this is going to be a Cowboys dub.
Yep.
Strictly because Fangio is so good at running that shell high coverage, cover 2, and then he even mixed in some cover 6 in there. And it really paid dividends for that defense, helping them shut down our offense. So, like you said, they're AFC teams. We're not going to be able to see them again unless it is in the Super Bowl. And if one of those teams are the team that we meet, and I'm saying we will meet them because I feel super good about the playoffs, even after this two game skid.
Yep.
It's one of those things we at least are familiar playing them earlier in the season.
Well, before we camp on that, why don't we get a show breakdown today, and then we'll roll right into dissecting how we got eaten for sushi.
You said you're feeling under the weather. You sound great.
Thanks, dude.
You sound very, very radio ready.
Yeah,
because radio ready.
Because when the cameras start rolling and we hit that record button, I just turn the fuck up, son.
Okay,
there you go.
Let's get that show intro.
All right. Well, it finally happened, guys. And at the worst time of the year, the Dallas Cowboys got tail whipped by the Miami Dolphins in a close game that had us raging while watching. And that's 2 losses in a row this year. First time that's happened.
Can't spell Dallas without 2 L's. Anyone hear that one this week?
No,
I had someone tell me.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Coaches, missed opportunities, and lack of turnovers are 3 things that we feel hurt them boys during this week's skid, or this 2-week skid. We'll also reach out to EJ Savage, see if he has any thoughts as well on what hurt the boys these last 2 weeks. But the Cowboys return home. Okay, and they're going to be putting that unbeaten record on the table against the Detroit Lions, who have an explosive offense, but can be kind of hot or cold depending on their mood. That's like a typical Lion, okay? Our show will kick off 1 hour before the ball does, so come check it out right here on the old YouTube. And if you're listening, come over to YouTube. You silly bastards.
Saturday night game, guys.
Saturday night game. That's right.
5:15
Saturday.
kickoff?
5:15 kickoff on Saturday.
4:15 PST for the CanFan boys.
Yeah, 4:15 PST.
Saturday night's all right for
Saturday. Come join us on YouTube.
I can't wait to get blackout drunk and sleep on Ad's couch.
Sweet, dude. Can't wait either, bro.
But we'll also check out where we are on those power rankings. See if we actually tumbled last week. I don't think we budged.
Stayed. Yeah,
we stayed. But we'll see. I'm sure after a 2-week skid, they're going to tumble us.
We tumble in. Just another.
Then we'll do score, bold predictions, CanFan buck bets. We'll see how much is left in the coffer there. Talk some CanFantasy Football finals. And a bunch of crackums on today's show. Boosh.
Bunch of crackums.
Boosh, baby.
And go ahead and head on over to cowboyscanfan.com/store. Get yourself that Philly suck shirt because they are sucking balls right now. Or just get yourself a CanFan Maniac shirt. Yeah. Whatever you want. Or don't buy one. I don't give a shit.
Don't say that. You care.
Okay. What do we want to roll right into some?
Well, I want to ask EJ right off the hop because we've talked a little bit. We were on the 8 o'clock spot, another former grid show.
Current.
I meant to say, yeah, you got it. You're right. But we were on the 8 o'clock spot yesterday talking some Cowboys, and we wanted to. One of the questions on the 8 o'clock spot was, what do you think the main reason for the Cowboys 2-game skid? And we kind of all had our different answers, but I'm curious, EJ, what do you think is the main reason for the Cowboys' last 2-game skid?
I think that it's a couple things. I think that untimely penalties is a very, very big part of it. You talk about the Buffalo game, just extending drives for the Bills and getting stupid penalties. Jaron Kearse had one. DeMarcus Lawrence had one. Just off the top of my head, that's 2 weeks ago. So
Sam Williams.
A little bit of me to remember those. Yeah, Sam Williams with the punt. And then against the Dolphins, I think that you can point to the untimely penalties. We had a drive going. We get the Tyler Smith hold, the Micah Parsons pass interference call on Tua that gave them their only touchdown of the game. Just simple stuff like that. I think that untimely penalties is a big issue. And then I would say not being willing to go to your star players when you need to. When you need I bring up basketball a lot because that's my background. I played basketball all my life. But when we needed a bucket, we would always look to the best player on the court. We'd say, hey, 1-on-1 ISO, go get us a bucket. We need one. And I don't understand why the Cowboys don't do this more often. But whether it's a little tunnel screen or a run for CeeDee Lamb or anything, he was non-existent for 2.5 quarters. You got to get your guy involved especially knowing how much success he had early in the game against Miami. So I look at that as the biggest factor is just not getting your true blue chip talents going early on in the games and then continuing that same success throughout the game is the biggest thing I've seen the last two games. And this skid is a result of those two things mixed.
Well, yeah, CeeDee Lamb 93 yards in the first quarter, and then I don't think he had another catch till the fourth quarter. It's like in the first quarter, you're thinking this dude's going to break his own personal best again for the third time this year. 93 yards in the first quarter. Holy shit, CeeDee's killing it. And then just poof, gone for 2.5 quarters.
This is where I was saying that I feel like the coaching, some of the non-adjustments that you game-to-game adjustments, you pointed out, we were able to neutralize the Miami's explosive offense. But yeah, I mean, that's a play calling. That's not Dak's fault for not getting it to CeeDee Lamb. Maybe not every single play can be blamed on the coaching, but there definitely was an issue in the play calling this last game for sure.
I think it's a result of Mike McCarthy, CeeDee Lamb himself not being willing to go over to Dak and Mike and be like, hey, get me involved. You know what I can do with the ball in my hands. Get me involved somehow. And then Dak himself. Dak has to be more cognizant of, hey, CeeDee hasn't touched the ball in a while. I need to audible or figure out a way to get him involved because he is that dynamic player. I mean, we were talking before the game even rolled about his possibility of getting the single season receiving yards record for the Cowboys. I mean, if he goes off for 179 yards or whatever it is in the next two games, which is fully in the realm of possibility. So he's a dynamic weapon. You got to get him involved, and you got to do it early and often so that he feels like every single route is worth running, and he runs it 100% of the time. And that's when CeeDee can get those special catches and yards after the catch that are so big and swinging the momentum of a game.
Yeah, that 149-yard touchdown that he got was unbelievably fantastic.
Like screaming. I'll ask you, like, when have we saw a actual wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys do that thing right there?
We haven't forever.
We haven't
so
had
long,
that
man.
I mean, I almost want to go back to Miles Austin.
I think Amari Cooper, his first year, had a couple like that. But yeah, like Miles Austin's a good call too. But I mean, Dez would have the occasional one like that. Like Dez would be able to do that. Dez took it to the house a couple times on some pretty big, exciting runs. But definitely in the last, easily the last 4 or 5 years, those types of plays have just been non-existent.
I think with a lot of Amari's ones were like a deep shot, and then the safety just missed the hit, and then Amari makes like a move to get into the end zone. It wasn't a quick slant.
Yeah, like a slant,
beating both safeties and the DB to get the touchdown.
It was it was super exciting. It was.
Yeah, I mean, that's like an OBJ, like reminiscent kind of a play back when he played for the Giants.
My thing with CeeDee Lamb, too, is even for Dak, occasionally if CeeDee looks covered to you, you still need to just try giving him the ball. Like, it doesn't even have to be the game. Like, the call could be fine. Dak's just looking at him. I might think, okay, he's covered. But if you place that ball, CeeDee Lamb, I have all the faith in CeeDee Lamb that he's going to out-jump anyone that he's on with, or he's going to outfight whoever he's against. So I'd like to see a couple more chances to CeeDee because, like you said, he's our number one guy by far. And any argument going into the season about CeeDee Lamb not being a true wide out one, those should be gone. That's crazy talk to me. He's so far past that in my mind. I thought last year he was the number one wide receiver on a team, maybe not a top 5 in the NFL, but this year he's a top 5 in the NFL. So get him the ball. You got to force feed him the ball.
How bad do you think the offensive line screwed Dak up on the Miami game? Because it seemed like Miami was on top of Dak every single play.
Yeah, no, they definitely were. EJ, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that the tackle, both positions, when Tyron Smith has been out, so left tackle and right tackle, have been the offense's Achilles heel in penalties. Terrence Steele has not been good at all in pass protection this season. He's gotten a little bit better during the course of the season in run blocking, but he's never really been that great at pass pro. And why that messes up the flow of the offense is it typically means you're going to have to ask your tight end to chip at the line, which means that he's slower to get into his route. That throws off the timing in the middle of the field. Balls that Dak really likes to throw, and those seam balls. If you're asking what's my guy's name, Ferguson, to chip on the line. It's just not there a lot of the time because the pressure is coming from both sides with Chuma in the game, and it's 2 seconds before Dak has to throw it. So
Oh man,
it's been a big issue.
It was wild on the Brandon Cooks touchdown. If you watch Terrence Steele blocking, it's a fucking miracle Dak even got the ball off.
Yeah.
Like Terrence Steele just gets absolutely burned, and Dak just luckily gets the ball away just in the nick of time. So Dak, to be honest, like you said, with Terrence Steele and then Chuma on the other side, we're lucky we're not getting our quarterback absolutely just demolished. And it's kind of scary. We talked before we went on air about getting Tyron Smith back in the lineup, and it's like it's this we're the front office is put between this really tough situation where do you rush him back so that your franchise quarterback isn't killed before the postseason, or do you let him rest so that you have him for the postseason?
Yeah. I don't know. And just for anybody that doesn't know, I mean, Terrence Steele actually finished with a worse grade than Chuma Edoga in that game, and you know how bad Chuma Edoga played. So both of those players did not play good, and it's a miracle that Dak was even able to put up the numbers that he did.
Yeah, honorable mentions in the chat says last 2 games come down to the coaches, plain and simple. They're getting out coached. Dan Quinn, I love you, brother, but do not play man every play. Please play some zone defense. We are getting cooked. See, I don't think the zone defense. I don't think we were getting cooked in the secondaries these last 2 games. The run game obviously against the Bills. But in terms of the Dolphins game,
I don't know if you can fault the defense at all in the Dolphins
in the Dolphins game.
In my mind, you hold the Dolphins. You ask any Cowboys fan before going into that game, and I'm not arguing like the Bills game. Yeah, Dan Quinn should have made adjustments earlier. But going in, this is the thing. Going into, and this was my on the 8 o'clock spot. My argument, my argument against Ad saying the coaching, where I thought for the Miami game, Mike McCarthy and co had actually had switched gears because the Bills were playing a cover 2. And the Cowboys couldn't do shit to it. And then they came in against the Dolphins and actually they moved the ball nicely. A guy that we haven't ragged on at all, and I wish I would have because I was pretty hard on Hunter Lepke post game when I was a little tipsy and still feeling the fire and rage from the game. Tony Pollard on that pass, that little pitch out there, he's got to get into the end zone.
Yeah.
Yes.
That little pitch out where all he has to do is run for that pylon and dive. He's got to score that. That's a touchdown play any day of the week.
And for some reason, he decided to try to cut in instead of run for that pylon and just reach his hand out.
Cuts in and stays so straight up. Like I understand the cut in if you're gonna shoot low. Cutting in and up is fine, but you got to get lower. He was straight up. Yeah, the guy tackled him by the ball,
which is why he was able to do a full 360.
He tackled him by the ball. Tony Pollard's still one of the fastest guys on the field. All he had to do was shoot for that cone, and we're never even talking about the Hunter Lepke fumble, which I was pretty adamant about. That was the worst play of the game.
Lepke or Dak.
TP, I kind of wonder, like, if the noise got to him a little bit about him not being a do-it-all kind of a back, because he I feel like this season more so than ever, he feels like the need to just run into somebody for no reason. Like that's not what made you special. That's not what got you this job. It's your elusiveness. It's your vision, beating people to the spot, your speed. And for whatever reason, there's been numerous times throughout the season where I'm like, oh, Tony, he has the lane there. And then he just bulldozes the linebacker for no reason. It's asinine. It's completely beside me and what he is seeing right now. So he's been a disappointment. And quite frankly, a lot of people ask me, hey, how do you feel about Tony Pollard in the offseason? Do you want to re-sign him to a contract, even if it's team friendly? I'm cutting my losses with it. I'd rather draft a rookie, somebody that has that elusiveness, somebody that can be your power back. Have 2 separate guys. I don't care if you want to have Rico as your kind of elusive guy and then bring in a power kind of a guy from the draft. But I think a change is needed. I don't like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So we've seen this iteration of the Cowboys minus Zeke. Of course, you add Gilmore, who kind of replaced Diggs with the injury, and then you add in Brandon Cooks. But we've had this. We've had Amari Cooper. We've had CeeDee Lamb. We've had a healthy Gallup. I don't think that Dak has ever played quite this good, but the line is actually worse now. So now compared to other years, and our defense, yes, it's gotten a little bit better incrementally, but the linebackers are worse. So there has to be some change in the offseason if you don't get to at least the NFC Championship game, in my opinion. That starts with Tony Pollard. I think that Tyron Smith, you got to cut your losses with him. Get him off the books. Draft somebody. You got to do something. And that's my opinion on the whole situation.
It might be a little too early, but it just as a question that came to mind here. If you do cut Tony Pollard, and let's say Cowboys are redrafting at 26 next year, just to repeat that, who is there anyone on your list that you have in mind that you want to see maybe the Cowboys kick the tires on for running backs?
For a running back in college currently?
Yeah, and I'm not saying Cowboys should go running back, but if you don't have running back, then you need to maybe go one or two. So, like, is there any one of those top 2 rounds that comes to mind?
Yeah, I personally, I wouldn't spend a top 2 pick on a running back anyways.
Okay.
Unless you feel like you're like really need one bad. So I'm looking way down the draft board, maybe 4th round, and you've got to see what you got with Deuce if you can add on some weight and get a little bit more stockier and see what he can do.
Yes.
But overall, I don't nobody really comes to mind. And yes, the Michigan running backs are both really good, but I think you're gonna have to spend a premium draft pick on one of those guys. So right now, I wouldn't have a guy that I'm like, oh man, we need to get him like a Bijan. Because I think that Bijan could have came in here and been that workhorse guy for you, and he was worthy of that pick. Same with like a Jahmyr Gibbs, just because of his elusiveness. I don't know that I feel quite as comfortable with any of these running backs in the up and coming draft to spend a 1st round draft pick on.
So if you cut Pollard though, or you don't re-sign him, then what do you just roll with Dowdle? And
No, he's saying that later, like in the 4th or 5th.
saying,
It's
like,
just
yeah.
if there's a guy that falls, you kind of go for him and just kind of add him into the mix, because you're going to be able to pick up traits of a player. And I mean, that is still comes with a lot of risk. And it seems like the smart move right now.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to me for the Tony Pollard thing, how much money you could get for him or how much you could sign him for. What do you got, like the franchise tag? I think is too much.
10 million.
That's too much, and it's gonna be more next year if you try to franchise tag him again. Luckily, his shit year might actually play into the Cowboys' favor, though, right? Like they might be able to sign him for a 2-year deal, maybe 3 or 4 mil a year, and at that point, you do it, and then you still do what you're saying and draft a running back in the 4th or 5th rounds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then you also, I mean, free agency. There could be another running back in a separate situation on a separate team that's kind of fallen out of favor with them that you could utilize in your offense. And so you don't always have to go the draft route. I just think that running backs are better coming straight in from college. And it's the easiest position to get accustomed to inside of the NFL from the college game. And they're just fresh. They don't have that toll on their body. That's why I like going with the rookie, or not rookie, but rookie contract running backs.
Ultra is saying, and maybe we can.
There he is, Ultra. We were just talking about Ultra. I was like,
There you
has anyone seen Ultra? We need to get a wellness check to Puerto Rico to make sure Ultra is okay. What's he saying? Dan Quinn's got to go.
No,
Dak
Prescott. he's saying Braylon Allen in the 3rd round. He's a Wisconsin running back.
Okay.
6'2", 240. Let's get an eyeball test on this.
Ooh, that's what we like. We like that size.
Braylon Allen.
He's like the anti. There he is, right there. Or no, that's Donovan Edwards. I don't know.
Okay,
Braylon Allen
has Mahomes hair.
This is really early. He has Mahomes hair. 5.4 rushing average, only 12 tutties.
Give me his fucking size though, man.
6'2", 240.
6'2", yeah, he's a big
245.
Oh baby,
so he's
that's
big
like
boy.
the anti-deuce.
A 4.440 unofficial.
Whew.
Yeah,
That boy can move.
Can't jump very high, but who gives a shit?
You don't need to jump when you're just truck sticking, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Well, that's promising. I like
Ultra. I like this.
Ultra says Happy New Year.
Just
Happy New Year,
I was
Ultra.
just looking at this chart here while you were because I wanted to.
There's the Texas guy. He's good. Both the Michigan guys are good.
What I like about
Ohio State's.
Yeah, and what
Sorry,
I like
go
about just what I like about this list here is the tiniest guy is from Oregon here, Bucky Irving at 195, 5'10".
Great name too.
Yeah, and it's he could easily put on 10 pounds to get over 200.
I just want a real running back.
That's what I'm saying.
I just want a real sized running back.
All of these guys are over 200, closer to 210 or above. 6 foot there's just one 5'8" guy from Michigan too. But
that dude's a beast, though. I'm telling you, that dude is a monster.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
5'8", 213 is a lot different than 5'6", 160.
100%.
Blake Corum?
5'6" with 5'6" with like shoes on, with cleats on.
He's probably going to go pretty high, though, don't you think?
Yeah. There's been a lot of talk about him.
I just I like that there's a bunch of opportunities there for running back. Makes me feel a little bit better. But I don't know
in the
how
third or
these guys
fourth round,
actually
man.
run,
So and just going off of last year's draft class, like you'll get the cream of the crop in the top thirds of the top 10. But like the bottom 10 of them are usually third to fourth round prospects. So we could get one of those dudes.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be good running backs left in the 6th round.
Oh, for sure.
Of this draft. So
just get one that's a football player size.
Super high. You don't have to get one of the super touted guys to have a good running back.
I just love that we got knocked so bad for our Mozzie Smith takes and our Deuce Vaughn takes. Like we got people were freaking out at us about those takes. And as of right now, I mean,
hate to say it,
I don't want to be that guy. It's that meme. He's like,
yeah.
I don't want to be that guy, but I'll be that guy. Okay.
No, I mean that whole draft class.
Yeah.
I mean, you could. I mean, I said it on my show last night. You picked unimportant positions: a defensive tackle, a tight end, and linebacker, and then like a 3-tech / edge in the 4th round. So your first 4 picks were unimportant positions that really don't.
There's zero return. There's zero return on those top 4 picks right now, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the best rookie you have from this class is your kicker that you found off the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And look, no like overshown TBD, but lots of high potential, high praise.
Looked like he was gonna have a. Let's get one of these in us.
Crack
him if you got him, son.
Crack him if you got him.
A big roundabout way, talking about coaching there, but it's all kind of relevant. And let me just try to put a little bow on it here to segue into just another thought that we've had about what the issue here has been for the Cowboys.
How tall is she? Oh, you meant the other thought.
Oh, yeah. Very good. Very clever. So red zone offense, which is middle of the pack NFL. It's about 55%, so a little better than a coin flip for the Cowboys. Red zone scoring for touchdowns only. Look at the top 3 here, or I can tell you. Buffalo, 67%. San Francisco, 67%. Miami, 65%, rounding up. So, like the 3...
Arizona, weird.
I know. Well,
our numbers are a little skewed because of those first few weeks too. So,
true.
Well, I guess they do actually. That's interesting you say that. They have last 3.
Well, let's have a look.
So you can click that and let's see where we jump up to.
Last 3 haven't been very good either.
So we do jump up though.
We do jump up, but I guess that's overall.
Can you do home?
Go home and then go away.
Oh God, we're probably number 1 in home.
No, we're 60%.
Yeah, okay.
It's really our
40.
It's really our away. But last year we were 71%.
Wow.
So just
keep
that in mind. But point being, adding talking about Tony Pollard missing that touchdown and then the fumble, those missed opportunities, adding on also that deep ball. We talked about this on the 8 o'clock spot last night, that deep ball to Cooks. I'm not saying that would have won the game, but it would have changed the momentum for the Cowboys at least to put a score on and just hyped everyone up. And maybe, it would have been closer or the Cowboys would have changed their, took that momentum and put some more points on the board. But
it's interesting to think because this has happened quite a few times this season as far as red zone scoring percentage goes. And I know I looked at it quite a bit when at the start of the first 6 games where this is all you heard about the Dallas Cowboys was their red zone scoring percentage. And there were so many times that the Cowboys were scoring up from like the 22. So it doesn't count as red zone.
Right.
Like it happens
true.
It happens so many times. Or there'd be a drop pass or something like that was just skewing it. If you go back to just the main ranks, AJ, I'm just interested to see who, like out of the top 19 for the postseason, who's the worst playoff team?
Playoffs
on here.
Well, let's start down here and just
scroll down. I just want to see right from the bottom, see if I can see anyone on there that's in the postseason. That's
Vegas or Seattle, maybe.
Seattle. It'd be Seattle right now. I believe Seattle's the 7th seed.
And then Tampa Bay, 48%.
29% in their last 3.
Greasy. And then Tampa, a team that we're slotted to play right now, their home what's their home percentage?
30%.
30% at home.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fucking weird.
That is.
Very strange.
So just putting that
so it's an important stat.
That all up.
It's an important stat, but look, there's 2 teams in the bottom third of teams that are still in the postseason.
Yeah.
So it's a skewed thing to base shit off of, because again, if you have explosive plays,
but then the only reason that it matters is you're squishing the field down to an actual limit, whereas the limit's larger when you're at 22. I know it's only by a couple yards, so I'm not making an argument that makes a difference. But so what the Cowboys can't really plan to get to like 22 yards and then be like, okay, we're just going to run it from try to score from here.
Get it,
which maybe
the red zone first.
But maybe that would work. Like I won't argue against that. But it's like, what happens when they do get into red zone, and they just don't have are those things going to those short yardage misses going to give them the shy away from Tony Pollard?
An interesting stat that we can't do tonight, but that just to dive into if anyone's ever bored, would be to see how many touchdowns are actually scored between the 30 and the 20 and the 20 and the 10.
Yeah, we could probably find that.
You know what I mean? Because the 20 and the 10, that's considered red zone. But what the 20 and the 30, I imagine a lot, especially this year with the Cowboys, I know for a fact a lot have been between even the 25 and the 20. So it'd be interesting to see. Red zone to me too, I think it's a bigger concern when you're not scoring from within the 5 than it is if you're not scoring from the 18, right? That to me is a bigger deal.
Yes.
So the red zone's a pretty big, kind of gives you a pretty big area. Yeah. Whereas missing and having a kick on the 18 isn't as bad to me as having to miss and kick from or fumbling on the fucking inch-yard line.
Yeah.
Yeah, really another point to point out, though, is that where most teams DB, if they get an interception, they might get you down to the 30-yard line and you're driving. But DaRon Bland's returned 5 himself.
Yep.
That takes away that opportunity that a lot of teams also have. And I know other teams aren't as good at turning the ball over as the Cowboys defense, but that's another thing. And then I gotta kind of roast Mike McCarthy here. If it's 3rd and 2, homie, and you're going for it on 4th down, run the ball for the life of me, please, instead of 2 straight passes. It pisses me off. I don't understand it. Does he really have that little trust in the run game? I don't know, but golly, man, it's beside me.
No, I agree. We've screamed at that too. If you know if you know you're going for it on 4th down, run it the play before, because it's at least it should be a positive play.
Yeah.
Well, and Bandwagon Baba earlier on says, all I want the Cowboys to do is take the easy points at the start of the game, i.e. field goals. So we kind of going into that, if you know you're going to go for it and you're not running the ball, and you don't get it on that drive and then you're going to go for it, maybe you should reevaluate what you just did and kick the field goal instead. Get the points on the board.
Especially with Aubrey. That was kind of how but see now this.
I agree with the points after 4th and 2.
It reminds yes, sure. It reminds me of Bill Belichick and the Patriots with Tom Brady. Those years when I think they had a pretty damn good defense to do this, but they would just take the safe points pretty much all the time. Maybe the NFL's changed now, so could not be the best move. But what they did were were able to beat teams like 17-10 and stuff. Now, obviously, the defense was holding them off, but wasn't necessarily always high scoring in some of those years until Brady got some
Brady became Brady.
Well, he got some receivers and then really started meshing with.
He started his TB12 diet.
He started TB12, and
the rest is history.
But I don't mind the idea of taking the points,
especially early.
Nothing's more exciting. Yeah, early for sure, but nothing's more exciting than going for it on a 4th.
My only argument against taking the points, you have to know your opponent, and when you're on your opening drive and you've marched now down, which the Cowboys had did against the Dolphins, you've marched down on them easy, and you get into a 4th and 1, you're worried that the Dolphins could score on every drive. We didn't know the Dolphins are finishing with 22 points. We're thinking, look at all our score predictions. We all had them scoring over 30 points.
Yeah.
So you need to go tit for tat for them. Kicking field goals, we didn't know they were going to have 5 field goals. Kicking field goals against a highly explosive offense in their home stadium doesn't fucking work.
Mm-hmm.
When kicking field goals in the postseason, I hate to say it, doesn't fucking work. So it circles back to, how about instead of getting to the 4th and 1s, we convert before that even, right? So I don't mind taking the 3 points in the right situation, but they made the right call in that play. They went for it on 4th and 1 and they got it. They got down to the inch yard line.
I don't mind taking the 3 points when they're gonna miss the 4th and.
Oh, if they're gonna fumble it on the 1 yard line, then yeah, hell yeah, they should have taken the goddamn 3 points.
No,
AJ, just
you
go
had to.
deliver your time machine to Mike McCarthy, bro, and it'll all be all right.
You think
I know.
AJ's time machine would fit Mike McCarthy?
Yeah,
way.
I made it when I was quite
Yeah,
young.
you also
so-
need to bring your shrink ray too, man.
Yeah.
Doc Brown's time machine would have fit Mike McCarthy. Come
No,
on now.
But
Mike
Mike McCarthy would look dope in a why can't I think of it? The type of car.
Mike McCarthy has like a little
DeLorean.
track with
DeLorean.
a DeLorean on the side. He's got a
If you
Ticket
sh-
to
on the side.
88!
If you shrunk
Yeah.
him down,
Yeah.
if you shrunk him down, he'd be like a little Oompa Loompa.
Mike, dump the garbage in there. Oh, I thought that was our food for the night. I love Mike
you know
McCarthy.
You know what I really want to see though is when Dak Prescott got hurt last year, the defense was the reason why we won so many games, right?
Yeah.
And they felt like, hey, if we can just win this many games before Dak gets back, and they went 5-1, right?
Yep.
I want to see them play with the same urgency that they played against some good teams. I mean, they beat the Bengals, they beat the Rams. They played some good teams in that stretch.
Win some games for Dak Prescott, maybe like the defense
Yeah,
win
like-
against. And I'm saying against good teams. Like they've done it this year, but against teams that, if you look at their records, aren't great. I agree with you. I want to see a game like, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, that Buffalo Bills game when it was like 14-3, and you could tell that the offense was having an issue. I want to see the defense score that in that game. I want to see the defense get a turnover in that game. And this kind of circles back to my point that we brought up on the 8:00 spot with the biggest issue for me with the last 2-game losing streak has been we've had 0 turnovers. So I don't care how many turnovers you get against teams that aren't good. I want to see you pick off Josh Allen. I want to see you force a fumble on Tyreek Hill. I want to see you smash Tua and have a sack fumble, like that's what you're going to need. When it gets into January and you're playing against the Jalen Hurts and you're playing against I'm going to say Baker Mayfields, and you're playing against these guys that are above average talents, the defense is going to have to at some point make a play, and they've failed to do that in the last 2 games.
Yeah. Here's a question for you guys. Like, do you think that DQ has kind of been the Jason Garrett kind of esque coach where he's like, hey, we got to do it my way.
Those are fighting
We're
words
gonna
right
win
there,
my
dude.
way.
The DQ
and
might fight you.
He's like a little bit too vanilla right now with the defense, in my opinion.
That
I think like
you're,
when was the last time
you're
we
teen
saw
ultra
DB
up right
blitz?
now? You're teen ultra up in chat right now. There, EJ Savage.
Hey, that's all right. But here's an actual question. When was the last time we saw a cornerback blitz
Yeah.
or a safety blitz
Yep.
off the edge? Like, I don't remember the last time. And you can point to instances all last season. We're like Donovan Wilson with a sack.
Yeah.
Somebody else with a sack. Like, when was the last time a DB had a sack for our team?
Would you be
This
mad
season.
if DQ's just waiting, not tipping his
Hey.
hat till the postseason?
I wish I could buy into that stuff, but we talked about it last year too. Like, oh, do you think they're saving stuff for the playoffs? And nothing
Playoffs.
changed. So it's like,
Do you-
who knows? But I just want to see more exotic looks. DQ's a clever a defensive coordinator. I don't have any questions about that. I just want to see him put his players in the best spots possible and dial stuff up for certain players.
Well, they don't
You know
blitz. They
Donovan
don't really
Wilson is
blitz.
Super exactly.
Do-
They rely on stunts
Yeah.
and their front four getting pressure.
Do you think it's because there's he's just not wanting to bring anyone from that secondary up with the linebacker concerns and just those running concerns? Because if they, it's not necessarily been helping when the other teams have been rolling on us while running, but I'm just wondering if that might be a reason.
Like for me, I think that Miami was the perfect game to bring exotic blitzes because Tua hasn't been good under pressure all year. His splits between comfortable in the pocket versus pressured is crazy. And that's most quarterbacks. I won't lie about that, but Tua especially. So if you know that, why don't you bring down a safety like a Donovan Wilson that's very good downhill and use him on a blitz or
Very
use a
good tackler.
Jaron Curse that's already shooting the wrong gap anyway.
I was gonna say, do not give J-Ron the go ahead blitz, please.
Well, I mean, he's already taken himself out of the play anyway. So
Yeah,
you
but
might
he's
as
gonna
well use him on
hit the
blitz.
quarter. It's gonna be a roughing the passer or a face mask on a lineman
Yeah.
that wasn't even in the play or something insane.
Ultra says, remember the defense was asked for the last 4 games last year and then held 2 playoffs to 16.5 points.
There's our Ultra Cowboy right there. Hates the defense all year. We say anything bad. And
well, even
remember.
But even before we said even before we got into this Dan Quinn talk, one of his first comments was, get rid of Dan Quinn. I want to see a 3-4 defense.
But that goes back into what we were just saying. So yeah, they sucked at the last 4 games last year, and then they held Tampa Bay with Tom Brady and then the San Francisco 49ers to 16 points per game in those 2 games.
But my qualms about that is it was all a complete switch of everything. It was like, oh, Izzy is utilized in the slot now. It was like different things that you didn't put on film all year, right? And when you have the chance to get your division locked in and you win some games, you've got to pull out your exotic stuff because winning at home and getting that 2 seed get you 2 games at home versus going on the road throughout the playoffs probably. And so you can't afford to save that stuff for the playoffs, in my opinion.
Playoffs. No, you're right, because the postseason getting there down to Tampa, that could be I hate to say it, there's a possibility that it's one and done, where everyone knows the Cowboys record at home right now, and you can't think that the players don't also buy into that. So at that point, you got to do whatever it takes to get that home field.
Well, I think Tampa Bay is turf filled for sure, and I think it's a dome as well. So it's really
it's outdoor.
It is.
Yeah, it's outside. Yeah, but it's Florida. In Florida in January is a lot better than where it could be.
Yeah, exactly. So it is what it is.
Micah Parsons has opened up his mouth, this time voicing frustration with the officiating, namely against the holding call or the lack of holding calls. And some interesting stats from this article, and hopefully it's correct. But because I don't verify shit.
Todd Archer's pretty good.
Yeah, Micah Parsons has not had a holding call on him since week 6, and the only other one was against him in week 2 versus the Jets.
So Mike, put this into perspective. Micah Parsons, and you might have got into this, AJ. Sorry for jumping over you here, but Micah Parsons leads the NFL with pressures with 97. So he has most pressures in the NFL, and you're telling me he's only been held twice in the fucking season?
That's less than 3%.
Twice, two times. That's insane. That's crazy. There's just absolutely no way that it's just impossible.
Well, there's some more perspective here. The Cowboys have the 4th fewest holding penalties against them, 13, and Las Vegas has 26. Max Crosby. Is that a racial thing? I don't know. But also, I'll just read his quote down here. Micah Parsons. Actually, Adam, you're the quote reader. Let's hear it.
Ad's not feeling under the weather.
I got this.
I just keep rolling.
Guys, I got it.
I'm just kidding too. I wanted to dunk on Ad a little bit.
So he sneezes.
I just keep
rolling.
Just go for it.
No, I'm kidding. I don't want to.
No, it's too late. You're going.
Okay, no, go Ad, go.
I just keep it rolling, bro. It's kind of what it is. It kind of is what it is. Parsons said, "I'm not a flop guy. I'm not a guy that's going to go fake because I believe I can still make that play. A lot of plays get made above the 2.3 second range. So at the end of the day, I just got to keep playing through things. It's adversity, it's challenges, but I'm just going to keep going forward."
So what he's referencing is, I guess, there was a comment made. I don't know if this is just hearsay, but one of the officials said you weren't going to make that play, and that's why they didn't call it. Micah's argument is, but I'm running a 4-3. Other guys are running a 4-4 or 4-5. He's got a point.
Not even.
Most DNs, yeah.
He's being generous. He was being generous.
4-6, 4-7 range.
Ultra mentioned in the chat earlier on that when Micah can get to the QB in 1.9 seconds, it will lead to happy feet in 22 points. So Micah's coming in there faster than anybody else. That's why he leads the league in pass rushes, and he is in every play. We've seen, how many times have we seen a broken play happen and Micah's right there?
Mm-hmm.
So just because the hold's not there, it's like, man, like he could have got to the quarterback.
I'd also like to see a stat of how many holding calls are against like certain players, like a Max Crosby against a Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Hassan Reddick. Like, I'd like to see how many holding calls have been called against, like, on those guys.
Well,
and put it into perspective against Micah. Like, if those guys only have 2 or 3 against them, that'd make me be like, okay, well, those guys are also missing calls. But if like Nick Bosa and TJ Watt and Myles Garrett, they're all like between 7 and 10, then that's a huge issue, man. Like, it's a big issue, especially when Micah's getting closer to the quarterback more times than anyone else in the NFL.
I'd also like just to add on that, see which offensive players get the most holding calls too. That one might be a little bit easier to find, but I'll look into that.
Ultra is saying the Cowboys today sent evidence to the league about Micah's holds.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Jerry is in his war room.
I want to tweet out about this thing. Like, at halftime, if I was Mike McCarthy, I would have pulled up film, going straight to the lead official during that game and been like, "Hey, don't watch anybody else on the D line. Just watch number 11 and throw the flag when you need to throw the flag. I don't care about any other player getting held on my team, because when this guy gets held, it's a big deal, and it creates plays like the only touchdown that they had of the game came on a Micah hold, I think. So I mean, I just don't know how to even work around it, but that's a start, like Ultra was saying.
There's going to be a Micah Parsons holding call next week.
Oh, yeah.
There's been too much noise that, like, we've all kind of talked about Micah getting held, but there's been too much evidence from the Miami game and so much noise, and especially because it was a close game. Like, sure, he was being held in the Bills game. You guys lost 31-10. Who gives a shit?
Mm-hmm.
But in a game where you lose 22-20 on a possession or a sack or something like that, and then there's the irrefutable evidence of him being held, I imagine Micah gets a holding call.
And all the officials need to do is do one early call a game, set the tone.
Even one every 3 games, and fans would be happy.
Look, I just mean, like, when it happens, when the first egregious one happens, call it. Because I do understand there's a holding call or a penalty on every single play. And if the refs were calling it, it would be the most annoying game in the world. So they do pick and choose, but it should just be, if we can see it on TV, you should call it. And that's on both sides of the ball, right? Like, it sucks when it happens against the boys, but if you see it on television, the refs have to be able to make that call.
I think it was also the tipping point on this game, because he got called for roughing the passer when he was clearly within, like, he was less than the step to hitting the pass. And now, obviously, roughing the passer, there was the other one on Dak that got called that
could have went
either way. So, I mean, I think the frustration from that call plus all the no holds, and, like, our lower third graphic on the show today is Micah being held by 2 dudes while Tua's about to launch a fucking
face mask.
Yeah, and a face mask. Two holds and a face mask. Yeah. So I get it. Like, his frustration, you got to be loud about it, and you are right. We are going to see there is going to be a holding call.
There has to be
in this upcoming game.
There has to be.
Bold prediction.
Yeah. Hey, bold prediction. Micah gets called. Micah gets a holding call called against him.
That's awesome.
A bold prediction, Micah doesn't get a holding call.
I think here's my biggest problem with it, though, is that our offensive line gets the most ticky-tack holdings ever. And there's, like, the egregious ones, like on the graphic that you're showing right there, that don't get called for Micah. So that's where my biggest gripe is with the whole situation, is that we get the ticky-tack ones, and then ones that are like, how did you not see this? You got to be blind. Don't get called on.
Micah looks like he's Micah looks like he's rolling jiu-jitsu with players sometimes. It doesn't get called.
Yep.
There was some other kind of lackluster but festive news here. Linebacker Rashaan Evans was released after he was arrested for marijuana.
Do you think it has to do with the arrest?
It hit the drop. Smoke weed every day.
I was gonna do it, but you wouldn't hear it on there.
Oh man,
it doesn't work through Zoom. But sorry.
So I don't know. I mean, probably, but he was playing for us, or had a couple snaps. So maybe it was just like odd cut. But they did end up bringing up Matt Waletzko, who was on IR. So maybe it was just like, we need a tackle, someone who can play tackle for a couple downs before their arms fall off.
Imagine getting arrested for a marijuana charge in 2023.
I know.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. I mean, for us Canadians, that just seems weird ever. Yeah. Like, even in 2013, getting arrested for anything marijuana, unless you were trying to bring, kilos and kilos of it across international borders.
Yeah.
I
think it's just an excuse. They can get out of a contract this way, but otherwise, like, I don't know that teams are dropping people for possessions of marijuana. Like, if Tyreek Hill got caught
You're
possession
not
of
cut.
marijuana
Yeah, you're
and-
not cutting
and-
him.
No.
It's an easy out for the Cowboys. He hadn't done much. The more interesting part about it is our linebacker depth is insane. Like it's very, very small. Who do we have? Marquez Bell and Damone Clark are our only real linebackers, and one's a converted safety.
Yeah.
They also got Malik Jefferson down there on the practice squad, which would be interesting if they bring him up.
But that's what I mean. If they don't bring him up right now on the active roster from last week, we have 2 linebackers.
Yeah.
Well, he might have some call ups still left. I think he does.
Unless they're planning on maybe rolling Micah. But they had Micah play true linebacker a couple times last week, and he actually made splash plays when he was there. So I don't know. The linebacker thing's something we've been screaming about since the preseason, since the draft. We thought we had figured it out with Overshown. Once he got injured, it was like, oh my God, we're okay. We're still okay. And then LVE got hurt, and it was like, okay, we honestly have no linebackers on the squad.
Yeah, we're changing people down into linebacker. Ultra said earlier that he believes that Micah, we're going to see him in a middle linebacker role in the playoffs. Playoffs.
Ooh.
Ultra, throw that idea in the trash. Nah, I mean, for real. I mean,
EJ is
if
not
you
a
want to-
Micah linebacker fan.
First and foremost, if we are locked in the 5 seed, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers aren't a good running team anyways. Their running back is more of like a pass catcher out of the backfield anyways. So, and the best way to beat them, in my opinion, is pressure Baker Mayfield, force them into opportunities where you're going to get picks and get turnovers. And, we'll see round 2, but I just feel like this is how I put it. Micah is an elite pass rusher. He is a good linebacker. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't call him a great linebacker from what I've seen. Like, he's not Fred Warner level linebacker. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I mean, you can play him there, here and there if you know what to run down, but that's the kind of the juggling act of, oh, is it a run or is it a pass? I mean, I thought that the Miami Dolphins were for sure going to pass on that 3rd down conversion they got there, because they were stuck in 11 personnel, trips left, and it just looked like a pass play. And they go run and they get it. So if DQ sees it the same way, kind of it's a hard juggling act.
Ultra saying Micah at middle linebacker coming up the middle.
Ooh, naughty.
I mean, yeah, I could see that blitzing up the middle, but I don't know. I don't see him just sitting and reading the defense like a true middle linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, do we want? Is he practicing in middle linebacker right now? I feel like Micah is one of those players that you could slot him into any position, give him enough repetitions during the game, and he'll do a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
But it's where I agree. It's where if a player's on a Madden rating system, if a player's 98 on DE and 89 in linebacker, you're going to put him up in that 98 DE slot. You're going to convert him. So
Cornerback.
There you go.
Cornerback.
Yeah.
Actually, I would like to see him at like free safety.
Just to see.
Just
That would
like
be fun.
That'd be just like if we could do a Madden version of it, just stick him in free safety, just let him run like a maniac around.
I'd say it'd be fun to see them do that in the All-Star game, but the boys won't be playing that because they're going to be Super Bowl bound.
babe. I see what you did
Not
there.
not to keep going back to Ultra just because we're on this before we wrap up this Rashawn Evans
Do it,
marijuana
baby, do
chat.
it.
Even though we're talking about Micah Parsons, he goes he would be better than Fred Warner. Go watch his last game in college versus Memphis.
Oh,
He wrecked the whole game. College,
that's great. I mean, I agree to disagree. I guess Fred Warner is the best linebacker at reading coverage, like he doesn't miss tackles. I mean, sure, I guess that he got juked a little bit by Lamar Jackson in the last game, but I mean,
Who doesn't?
Anybody?
Yeah, who doesn't?
With Lamar Jackson? Yeah, exactly.
One-on-one,
Lamar Jackson.
a linebacker one-on-one with Lamar Jackson. I mean, it'd be a saint like that'd be an exceptional play by the linebacker to make the
I don't
tackle.
know. I think maybe like with athleticism and Micah, if you gave him a year and a half and he was just playing true linebacker, sure. I mean, I guess he could possibly be better just because he's more athletically gifted. But right now, asking him on a short week, anyways, to play linebacker, he would not be better right now than Fred Warner.
Okay.
I just can't believe that.
Last question from chat before we move over to power rankings here, AJ. Felice Matavali says, "Hey guys, I have a question. Should Micah play running back? Let's go Cowboys!"
I would like to see it, honestly.
Goodness.
I
wish we could just put them in actual real simulations just for fun.
Okay,
yeah.
week 18.
I think he'd be at least like an 84,
I
80 in running back.
I think he'd be
You
a
think
great
so?
running back. I don't think he'd be any
I mean, he
worse than
played it
what
in
we
high
have.
school,
Played it in
so-
high school. I watched his football life, the early football, the origin football life, and he still says in his brain, he's like, I still think of myself as a running back.
You know, I would be interested in using him as like a goal line back because, like, you think about the Texan days that JJ Watt used to play tight end for the Texans in goal line situations. So,
How fired up
if
do you
you
think
told
the
me that-
team would get if they put Micah in at running back and he scored
That'd
on the
be
1 yard line? The
crazy.
team would go
That'd be
fucking
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah, I mean,
I would like it,
I would
honestly.
I would love to see it in a playoff game.
I'd
with
like to
something
see it.
online.
I'd like to see it more than Hunter fucking Lepke back there ever again.
Listen, the Hunter Lepke, I liked what they were doing up until that 1 yard line.
Yeah,
It's
the
just-
first 2 carries he had and didn't fumble, and then he got to the third one and he fumbled.
Yeah,
Yeah, those
but-
first 2 carries looked great.
But I just think that, but how do you expect a guy in week 16 to
He hasn't
finally
carried a football his whole fucking life.
I'm just saying, we always talk about how a different level the NFL is. Give him some more repetitions throughout the whole season.
He was probably eating popcorn on the sideline or something.
Yeah, he's fucking Willie Beeman. Can't find his helmet on the sideline. Lepke, you're in. What? I'm in.
I did like what Lepke was doing.
Yeah.
All right, hey, we got
I
some-
think you're eating his chow way too much.
I'd more so do it to fuck with you than actually because I know you love your Lepke.
Fuck you, dickhead.
Okay, we got some power rankings from Eric Edholm. NFL power rankings week 17. The red hot Ravens jump 49ers that claim the #1 spot. Broken Chiefs fall to 9. Great, Eric. You already gave us 2 spots
I know.
in your goddamn title.
But he didn't spoil the boys.
That's good.
Okay, EJ Savage. Since you're the guest on the show, where do you think?
Well, we got to let them know where they were last week.
Last week,
Yeah,
we
where
were
were
at
they
4.
last week?
third
Was it third?
spot.
Okay,
were
so they were
3
were
last week,
3
okay.
before the Bills game. Then they got smoked by the Bills, and they stayed at 3.
Yeah.
And we were all surprised.
I would say, so teams I would for sure put ahead of them: Ravens, Niners, Bills. I think Dolphins would jump them after the win.
Bills ahead of them. Oh, okay, that's so good.
I think so. I mean, they got another win now. Granted, it wasn't impressive, but they're fighting there. So that's 4 off the top of my head. I'm trying to think if there's any.
What about the Eagles? No?
No.
I wouldn't put the Eagles ahead
No?
of them. I mean, they barely beat the Giants.
Facts.
So I'm trying to think of AFC right now. Miami's at 2 seed, I think, right now.
Chiefs are
Raven-
below them.
Chiefs, yeah, but who's that? Who's the 4th seed there?
What about Detroit? Where do you think Detroit's going to fall in there?
Yeah, Detroit could have jumped us.
I'm gonna go with a cool 6.
I think that's a good spot. I think 6 is a good spot. Bandwagon boys, I'm gonna let you guys go first. I'll take the last pick.
Okay.
Are we teaming together on one?
No,
We
actually,
individuals?
yes, I like the team. When we have a guest, I do like the team up because if you each get one, I'm definitely not gonna pick the right one.
Okay.
AJ doesn't like that.
AJ hates it because sometimes we don't.
Okay, we'll single up. Single up. Fuck you both. Single up.
Okay, so were you picking? You letting us pick first?
Yeah, you pick first.
Savage says number 6. I'm gonna go number 5.
5's good.
5's good. Oh man, dude, would they drop him 5? Would they drop him more than 4 spots? That's the question.
Well, me and you are fucked either way.
I'm gonna go
I think it's
8.
5
I'm
or
gonna go
6.
8.
You're gonna go 8?
Just to change it up. I would go 7,
You know what?
but I'm gonna go 8.
Okay.
You know what because the Cowboys were 3rd last week. The Dolphins were 4. I'm saying they just played the cool flop switch. Switch to Cowboy.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 4.
There
They
you go.
just gave
That's
them the old.
probably I should have done
Which
that.
is what I was gonna do, but I think Detroit's taking number 4.
That's also a good call. So 5's probably 5's sneaky good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hit it.
Okay, so number 1, we
Number
got...
1, the Ravens.
Oh, he's got a little cute
Ravens.
little poem. Get the fuck out of
I
here.
gotta beat it, Eric.
Balti, we knew
Baltimore Ravens.
Up
12
one.
12 and 3.
Knew it before I even read
Niners
the
2.
article.
that. Niners 2.
9 nerds
The
at number
Niners.
2.
Dolphins.
Dolphins 3.
Okay.
So there they are. They took the Cowboys spot at 3. Come
Okay.
on, 4. Let's make it 4.
Eagles.
Oh
Eagles.
God!
Get the
Okay.
hell out for
E-
beating the Giants.
EJ Savage is, you
Okay.
know what? EJ cheated. He looked at this earlier, and
It's
they're going
5.
to be number 6.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my!
he cheated.
goodness.
Oh,
EJ
EJ got 6.
EJ,
I don't
EJ
know how I did that.
EJ
I didn't. I never look at these things.
It's definitely 6. Cowboys are 6. There they
There they
are.
are.
There we
Down
go.
3.
Down 3.
I cannot believe the Eagles are ahead of them.
That's
The
I
only
know.
reason why I didn't say 5 is because these little power rankings are usually based on how you're playing recently. If you get a dub, you typically move up regardless, and the Cowboys have lost 2 straight. So that's why I figured probably 1 less than what I think. I was gonna say 5, but hey, 6, whatever.
It's been
reality. This doesn't matter. I
No.
still feel like the Cowboys are a better team than. Well, I guess we'll find out Saturday. I feel like they're a better team than Philly and Detroit.
Well, looking at back to looking at the NFC playoff picture, playoffs. I don't know if the Eagles are going to make it through the wild card. They're either playing the Rams or they're playing the Seahawks.
Yeah,
Seahawks the Seahawks already beat them with a backup quarterback, and if they play the Rams, Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. I think the Eagles are gone in the wild card.
Okay, well, let's see what Ed Holmes says here. They already clinched a playoff spot somewhat anticlimatically, but a division title might not be in the cards after Sunday's loss in Miami. If that's the case, the Cowboys will have to find a way to pull off three straight postseason road wins, which Mike McCarthy's done before, to finally make that elusive return to the Super Bowl. They're good enough to get there at their best, and the boys did rip off 5 straight wins in impressive fashion not that long ago. But converting third downs consistently has proven to be problematic in most of Dallas's 5 road losses, and the offense went just 1 for 3 in the red zone at Miami. With the opening drive
to Miami.
With the opening drive, 1st and goal fumble.
Tell us his name. Tell us his damn name.
Giving the Dolphins a huge early momentum swing. The offense did atone later with the epic 17-play go-ahead TD Dak Prescott MVP drive. I added that in for artistic interpretation. But the defense couldn't finish it off after playing well most of the second half.
This guy's just full of backhanded compliments.
Yeah, all of them. But
wait, the Bills are number 7?
Oh, yeah, we usually round this off. So Bills number 7.
They went up
1.
More like the Buffalo Jills.
Which, so Cleveland
Bills.
brand.
Well, Cleveland number 8, up 1.
And they should be ahead of the Bills, in my opinion, with Joe Flacco.
And Amari Cooper, a guy that should still be on this goddamn team.
Kansas down 3 to rank number 9.
Remember how long they were at 1 and 2, and we're like, they're not good.
Yeah, that was.
That's
what I'm saying.
We were saying that at week 6.
It makes more sense. It's been making more sense, say, the last 4 weeks than the first.
Well, what did we say? We were like, okay, you got these teams that they're jockeying these one spots. We said at about week 11, we're like, you're gonna actually see the top 10 take form here in the next 6-7 weeks, and you're seeing it.
Yeah,
Kansas City at 9 makes way more sense than in the top 5.
And on a down
on a skiddy,
yeah,
on a dirty old boxer down skid.
Tampa Bay moves up 5 spots.
Dang.
Oh, and who's just
and the Rams up 5 spots. And then I'll just do 12 here. Houston down 1.
To me, I've watched.
I just do 13, bro.
Yeah, get it. Just do it.
Just do 32.
Just do 14, bro.
That's it.
The Bengals.
So wait, this is interesting. The Jacksonville was I don't know, top 5.
They were
top 10,
5 or 6. Yeah.
And now they've just been slowly dropping.
Because we said the Jags, the Browns, and the Lions in the top 10 was crazy.
Yeah.
Because you just never see that ever. But when I even look at the Eagles or at some of these teams, even the Lions, I've watched quite a bit of these games. I think the Rams are a lot better than what they're given credit for. I think the Browns are better than what they're given credit for. I feel like the Bills are good. I think the Bills are better than the Eagles. 100%. The Eagles they're still playing off of last year's success, or they're still getting credit for last year's success.
And I think there's some pointing of the fingers in the Eagles locker room right now. I really do. You saw whenever the Giants scored that long touchdown to get back in striking distance against the Eagles, Hassan Reddick and Devontae Smith were both talking to what's his freaking name? I can't even remember. Right now, the head coach. Yeah, Sirianni.
Just call him stun cunt next time, and we'll know who you're talking about.
Or the kid from the movie Elf.
Is that what he looks like?
Yeah, he does kind of look like that.
Did you not see that? I sent you.
I didn't see it.
I posted. I'll show you it after. He's just like this. They're both like this.
Just mouth breathers. Just say the mouth breather next time, and we'll know exactly who you're talking about, EJ.
Yeah. Well. Anyways, they were talking some choice words to him. So, interesting to see if they kind of get that stuff figured out.
Wait till they're in a pressure point too. Wait till they're in a wild card game and there's something goes wrong. Like you're getting that way against the Giants. And I'm hoping here, and that Giants team looked good enough to beat that Giants team was a couple missed passes by Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod
how
Taylor,
many times did Tyrod Taylor throw it behind?
He missed Saquon Barkley. He missed Darren Waller. What's
Waller? Honestly,
what's Waller's first name?
Darren Waller?
Darren.
Is it Darren?
Yeah,
okay,
Darren
Darren Waller.
You questioned all of us.
Well, because I was like,
Darren
it
Waller?
seems weird. Darren?
It is.
A guy that
Yeah, it
tatted
is.
up like that, his name's Darren. But he totally missed him. He was wide open. Like, he was gone. He gets led. That's a touchdown. So the Eagles are going to MetLife Stadium week 18. The Cowboys win their next 2. It's going down to that game. If the Giants beat the Eagles, well, hello there, NFC East.
nice
to see you.
NFC East.
Did you see that play that Waller made though, where he just lays on the ground?
Yeah.
And they said
Get
he
up.
got hurt. I didn't believe that he got hurt.
Get
I think
up.
He was kind of saving face right there.
Yeah, get up, dude.
Waller's one of those Mr. Glass guys. I've had him almost every year since he came back from his drug addiction in fantasy, and every year he's
High
disappointed
ceiling.
me.
So you hate drug addicts, is what you're saying?
No, I like drug addicts. I bought into his story, and
I like drug addicts.
I
He
bought
was
in.
actually addicted to him.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
addicted to him. I bought into his story, and I kept him for so long.
You're such an easy sale.
He's
I
got.
know, but I didn't pick him up this year.
I did, and he got hurt.
I know. Yeah, you were captain tight end this year in your
Yeah.
fantasy football.
Yeah, I had him
First
for
time I've
like
been called
4
that.
weeks, and I dropped him.
Yeah,
He was that bad.
He was bad.
He's got a high ceiling and a Mr. Glass floor.
Ooh.
Guys, big game coming up. Detroit Lions coming to Dallas to try to end that home game streak. That's at 5:15 p.m. PST Saturday, and our show is going to kick off 1 hour beforehand. But before we jump into this, we talked a couple weeks ago, EJ, and I threw a couple games at you for which one you wanted to come on and join us for, and you chose this week here against the Detroit Lions, and your reason was because Mr. Jimmy Johnson is entering the Cowboys Ring of Honor. I was going to say Hall of Honor.
Welcome to the Hall of Honor.
But it's been a long time coming. Jerry finally decided to allow him in after years of wondering why not.
You know what I think really happened? I think Jimmy stole Jerry's salt shaker out of
Yes.
his office. And that's what the whole entire argument has been about.
Yeah.
He couldn't. He had to go down to the cafeteria and get salt packets to put on his sausage McMuffin, and this is what it's about. It's been 20 years of it.
Finally, Jimmy gave it back
Finally
this
gave
year.
it back. He's
He's
like, I
like,
found
"Here
it.
you
I found it.
Jimmy, are you going to admit that you took my gold salt shakers?
And Jerry's like the
Yes.
guy from Hook. My marbles, but instead it's the salt shaker.
My shakers.
Shaker.
And he has
I
double.
found me shaker.
There's no pepper. It's
Jimmy,
just two.
You stole my shaker.
Yeah, and it's just 2 salt shakers, and everyone's like, which one's pepper? There's no pepper.
Pepper.
They're both salt.
Yeah, he's like
Pepper.
pepper.
But I read somewhere that Dan Campbell was going to be using this as motivation. What's his connection to Jimmy Johnson? Did he coach under him or anything like
Well,
that?
he played.
Yeah, he was a tight end for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was.
okay.
Dan Campbell played for the Cowboys.
Oh, okay. So there's that interesting little connection there on for this game. Anyways, high octane Lions offense. This is what I think the Cowboys have to watch out for the most here. We got Goff, St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, Montgomery.
Yep.
I think they all are pretty electric talents, especially
Heck
Gibbs
yeah.
has been really turning it on. Laporta's been that tight end that you wanted.
Last week was the worst game he's had in
Worst-
forever.
exactly.
Like in a long time.
Yeah, St. Brown is just Mr. Consistency. And Goff is, he can play. He, I think, is the reason they're hot or cold at the end of the day. But he's a, top 10 QB, top 12 QB. And that's what I think they have to worry about, because if they get scoring and we see what is supposed to be the bright point of the Cowboys team, that offense at this point right now, it's that offense, that passing game, if it's sputtering, we're gonna have a hard time scoring against the Lions here.
Well, the Lions have been a weird team. They've won a lot of good games, but they've lost some weird ones. Dan Campbell's definitely has this team playing hard. Like, they're not the Detroit Islands.
Detroit
Detroit
Islanders.
Islanders. They're not the Detroit Lions that we've seen in the past. Like, they're a football team that's ready to play. They're a team that's going to hit. They're a team that's going to be up to play against the Cowboys. And it's a good test for us. This is a team that arguably could be the 2 seed in the NFC. So we are playing a good football team. They're going to be bringing their A game. Doesn't matter that they've clinched because they're still playing for seeding position. So this is a good test after stuttering against 2 other AFC playoff contenders. We get to meet up with an NFC playoff contender. And again, it would be great if it was I would love for this to actually be a road game, honestly. We know we know what the Cowboys are when they're at home. And that's all anyone's going to say. If the Cowboys win this game, okay, well, the Cowboys can win at AT&T Stadium. Great. Good for you guys. What can you do in the postseason? So I'm super excited for this game to see us against another good team, a team that can run the football and run the football well. I'd like to see us keep them below 125 yards rushing, because that's going to be the cog that makes the Detroit Lions go. And then we got to make Jared Goff turn the ball over. The Cowboys got to get back on their takeover ways, and we can't be losing the turnover battle.
And take advantage of that holding penalty that we're going to get.
We get one. Yeah. Micah's getting one. I guarantee it. I would guarantee Micah gets one.
That's a bold prediction.
Give him 2.
But even two would be bold. 1, it's happening.
Yeah,
2 is very, very bold.
What about this?
I mean, that might be
cracker if you got him.
If you could bet on like some type of DraftKings thing, 2 Micah holds against him, I mean, you might win $1 million.
Oh, the payout would be insane.
Yeah.
Just looking at the teams here on the premium stats, PFF's premium stats, they're pretty even overall. Cowboys have a 92.7 PFF rating, and the Detroit Lions a 92 rating. But breaking it down to offense and defense, you could see where the differences are. The Dallas Cowboys offense 80.2, Detroit Lions 85.3. So a noticeable difference there. Really, it comes down to the pass block. The other metrics are relatively close enough.
Both blockings, actually. Pass block and run block.
Yeah. And then on the defense, the Cowboys really have outperformed Detroit. 84.2 rating for the boys' defense, although that's down from the 90 that it was at, I believe, a couple of weeks ago. And then 72.6 for Detroit Lions. And again, big differences are the tackling and the coverage. There's big differences down the board, but those are the major differences.
Well, just looking at the offense here, AJ, and you got the pass blocking and the run blocking, and we got the Cowboys are underwhelming at both.
Very.
And for all of us that have watched every single play by the Dallas Cowboys in 2023, that's the eye test. You can tell that they haven't been good at run blocking. They haven't been very good at pass blocking. Sure, our running backs maybe have made some mistakes with their vision and ran into some guys, but you're not seeing the classic holes that you used to see for Tony Pollard. You watch the Miami game. There was a couple runs for Mostert and a couple for Wilson, I believe, and they had like 5-yard holes. If Tony Pollard gets a 5-yard hole, he's gone.
And I wonder, Smith, was he banged up for 2 games or 1?
Just last week.
Just last week?
It happened midweek. I think it was like Thursday. They ruled him doubtful on like a Thursday.
But Smith, like just looking at the year as a whole, Smith has missed some games, both Smiths. And then Martin I know he's playing, but he might be banged up himself a little bit from that injury that put him out. But he, came back and played, but still he might be a little rough there too. And then of course, Steele has just been a complete reversal of what he was last year. So our offensive line, which traditionally, say the last 10 years has been like one of the highlights of the offense, is really banged up. And it's not necessarily surprising when you kind of take the whole year into consideration. Tyler Smith himself has been a big blessing, shifting him to left guard, and I think that's where he's pretty much going to stay. But you can't win games if both your tackles are letting defensive ends get in there, and Dak loses 0.2, 0.5 of a second. That's going to really disrupt their
offense. If your 2 worst players on your full team are your left and right tackle, it's surprising that Dak only got sacked 4 times last week. It really is. And you're going against a Detroit Lions team who hasn't been crazy on defense, which is good for us. And this is the game that we need. We need the Cowboys to get a little bit mojo back, get a little bit of confidence back, and beating a team or the Lions, 11-4? Beating an 11-4 team is going to be right up the alley to doing that.
Yeah, and the Lions also have Aiden Hutchinson. I know he hasn't necessarily been very noisy, but the guy's a big athletic player, and
he doesn't have a lot of sacks, but he has quite a few pressures and hurries. So he's still creating a problem for opposing quarterbacks, regardless.
Yeah, he's the 7th ranked pass rush grade in the NFL. So definitely something to pay attention to.
Who's number one?
I believe that's Micah
The,
Parsons.
the real Lion?
The Lion.
We'll see if they.
I stole that one from
No,
Ultra
Parsons is
Cowboy.
third now.
Damn it.
Parsons is third now.
We got to hear those like slow chants, like he
Micah,
comes in.
Hey, speaking of O-line, and I know this just might not be possible, but hypothetically, if Smith, what do you do with Tyron Smith if he is banged up but can play? Do you play in these last two games, or do you rest him for the playoffs?
If you're asking me, I would play him against Detroit because it's supposedly what he said to media is he feels a lot better with the week's rest. And then regardless of how he feels, you'll know if you can get that 2 seed or not. And if you can't, there's no reason to play him against the Commanders. Let him rest up and get completely healthy and ready to go against Tampa Bay.
But because of that, we don't know what's happening in that Eagles game. If he's healthy, you have to play him, right?
Yeah, against Detroit.
Yeah, against Detroit, you have to. If you think if he's healthy enough, and the doctors clear him, you're risking Dak Prescott if you don't, right? Like, yeah, it would suck to bring Tyron Smith in and get him hurt, but you know what else would suck? Having Chuma in there, miss Hutchinson, even though I think Hutchinson lines up mostly at left defensive end.
Yeah.
But even having him match up against him one time, not pick him up like you missed Bradley Chubb, and having Hutchinson have a clear run at Dak Prescott. So you got to always protect your quarterback's blind side, and the best way to do that is to have Tyron Smith there. And if he's healthy, he's got to play.
Well, if they're out, then you're probably starting Cooper Rush week 18 anyway.
Yeah, if it's been decided. If it's been decided, that's actually interesting, and that'll be something fun to talk about next week. But it's not. It won't be.
No,
I don't think it will be decided because if the Eagles lose tomorrow, I wish it was tomorrow. If the Eagles lose on Saturday or Sunday and the Cowboys win, we'll be ahead. But if the Cowboys then lose and the Eagles win,
right? So they need to win.
Then it's definitely decided.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I do like that point, though.
Dak Prescott goes down. Trey Lance comes in and wins the Super Bowl. Is that what everybody? That's what every Cowboy fan wants.
Wanted
right?
from the start of the year. The funniest thing about people, I love it and it's actually died down since Dak's been playing pretty well. But the Trey Lance chance, it's like, dude, if Dak Prescott gets hurt, he's the backup quarterback still. Cooper Rush is just then our quarterback.
Do you guys have any matchups that you are looking forward to this week?
EJ, what do you got? What's something that you're looking forward to?
A sneaky good game, or 2 good games really by Jordan Lewis, playing that nickel corner spot. He has a good test this week against one of the best slot corners in the league in Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then you also draw tight end assignments, and then you're going to be going against Sam Laporta, who is one of the best tight ends in the league already. So I'm really going to be looking at Jordan Lewis to carry, kind of string together a few games of him doing what he's been doing, which is being solid in coverage and coming up and making some really good wrap-up tackles as well.
And then Lewis's PFF grade is kind of skewed because when he first came back from injury, he didn't play great. He was getting burned quite a bit. But you're right. We've been pretty hard on the guy early on in the season. But these last few games, he's definitely looked a lot better. He's been making plays. He's helped in the run support. So I do like that. Now I'm going to stick with the defensive side of the ball too. I'm excited to see what this defense can do against the Detroit Lions running backs. The Detroit Lions have 2 very established running backs.
Montgomery and Gibbs,
both 2 guys that can make noise against any team. So seeing us hold these guys in check, or at least make it not so that they're controlling the game, would be a huge testament to this defense. I want to see the Cowboys hold the Lions running backs to at least under 125 yards. If they held them under 125 yards total rushing, I think that's a huge success for the Cowboys' defensive run attack.
Yeah, I'm in the championship game this weekend, and I have Jahmyr Gibbs as one of my running backs. I'm fine if he doesn't score any points. I'm fine if he has a 2-point game and I don't win the championship for us to take a
fibula break.
Yeah, break it out.
Unless you need 3 points, then we'll let you get.
Well, I still dominated last week with Purdy only giving me 2
I hate to
points on
say
my
this.
bench.
I'm gonna bust out of this talk quick about fantasy football. We were having Christmas dinner, and Adam's looking at his fantasy score in the one league, like panicking. I'm like, well, who do you got? Like, I'm like, what's the
Okay, I
score?
wasn't panicking.
He's up by 40 points, and Ad still had like Christian McCaffrey to play. And like, I forget who else you had. I'm like, he had Christian McCaffrey, and George Kittle. I'm like,
I had Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy only got me 2 points.
he still won by what, 40?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More than that. But
George Kittle had a good game, actually.
That was funny.
So,
That was funny. AJ, what's a big matchup you're looking forward to between these Detroit Lions and Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, it's St. Brown and Laporta, obviously, but I want to see how they utilize those running backs in Detroit. And I think what it all really boils down to, I was thinking while you guys were chatting and paying attention to myself and not you, is Dan Quinn versus that offense. And I think this is a game that he really needs to turn that ship around, as I like to say.
This isn't an easy task to turn a ship.
It's not very easy. It takes a long time, but I just hope that I hope we see, because again, I'm not going to be blaming the defense too harshly. They played a pretty good game last week. We just weren't able to outscore where we should have outscored that Dolphins team. Week before, in our losses, the defenses looked 4 out of 5 losses. The defenses looked pretty bad, right? So at home here, he's got a chance to really turn that ship around, and that's what I want to see is his matchup against this Detroit offense. It's electric.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can continue that home win streak.
Yes,
which I fully expect them to. It's a completely different team, and when you get these streaks and you get this, like the team that's on this streak, this 14 or 15 game streak, whatever it is predominantly this offense. Like this, it's been that offense that's done it, right? Over the last 2 and a bit years. So this team, when they're at home, they feel like they could beat anybody, right? And I fully expect them. I actually could see them blowing out the Lions.
Ultra says the Lions have not been a team with a winning record besides the Chiefs in week 1. Ravens blew them out 38-7.
And I believe the Cowboys can have a similar effect against the Lions.
Here's the thing is, do you think that the Cowboys are a much better team than the Packers and the Bears?
Oh, yeah.
And both of those teams beat the Lions.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, they're in the division, but it's like the Lions are not. I don't know. I don't understand. Maybe the Lions aren't like a big market team or whatever, but they don't get talked about enough in regards to their sneaker games. Like they've had some really bad games and some really bad performances against some teams that the Cowboys would get poo-pooed on for having the same performance.
Right.
Now they have a really good offense, like you guys have mentioned with Brian Johnson. That the offensive coordinator for the Lions is very, very creative. So the Cowboys have to game plan for him and what he might do and lining people up in certain positions. Jahmyr Gibbs even out of the backfield as a running threat or a passing threat. But overall, I think it comes down to, can you protect Dak Prescott enough? Because I feel really good if it's a shootout, the Cowboys have more weapons, or I won't even say more weapons. I just feel more confident that we're not going to drop an egg at home with Dak Prescott if he's protected.
I believe our defense has a better chance to force a mistake from the Lions offense than the Lions defense has to force a mistake from our offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Matchup I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to be wearing his jersey this weekend, is Micah Parsons versus the O-line / Jared Goff. That's who.
Which Micah jersey you wearing? Blue?
Yeah, your blue one.
It's blue jerseys this week, isn't it?
So you can wear your blue Dak.
Oh fuck no! I'm bringing out the Tony Romo, the Reebok Tony Romo.
These last 2 weeks are blues.
Run it back, Romo.
I'm bringing Romo out. Dak Prescott, he's not even an MVP. Why would I wear? Just kidding.
And I might have to wear your
question.
Dak. I might have to wear your
question.
Dak jersey
If Dak goes, what does Dak have to do in this game to get back into the MVP discussion?
300.
Is it possible? You think for 2-part question? Is it possible for him to get back into the MVP discussion? And if it is, what does he have to do?
I think he's got to have 1 or 2 big plays. On top of that, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, no wins. And I think that puts him healthily back in the conversation.
If he does that and he's not back in the conversation, it's fucked up.
I think for me, it's a two-part. So you have to have the Miami Dolphins beat the Baltimore Ravens, and
Okay.
that knocks Lamar down a tier. And then you have to hope that Dak has his best game in his career, probably. Talking about like maybe 5 touchdowns total.
400
maybe one on the
yards, you
ground,
think?
4.
400?
The problem with
I
that,
wouldn't say 400, but like 340.
the problem with that though is Tua jumped ahead of Dak after the Dolphins beat us.
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't care about the Tua thing. Sorry to cut you off. I don't care about the Tua thing because whenever Tua hasn't had his other guys, Tyreek Hill missed a game. He didn't really look great.
totally,
And
but
that's
the
kind of
but
the
the way
argument
that
with Brock
but
Purdy.
the big problem with the narrative that and how all the well, at least from the noise that you hear week to week, if the Dolphins beat the Ravens and Lamar drops down, then Tua is now going to be that front runner. That's all we're going to hear is Tua. Tua is the MVP. They took out the Baltimore Ravens.
It depends what kind of game he has.
Yeah,
It depends what kind of game Tua has.
I see what you're saying, Ad, and that's a good point because Lamar, like, I mean, it was the defense that beat the Niners.
I know
Let's just be
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
upfront about that. So it depends, but I will say, like for Tua, he got outplayed by Dak Prescott in the game, and they still won. So it was like Dak went down 17, 16 plays, went down, got the go ahead touchdown to put his team up. You barely beat them at your house by 2. I don't think that Tua has a better argument than Dak personally because Dak has had higher highs and he hasn't had as low of lows either. And Tua also, I mean, he had a lot of fumbles lost, way more so than Dak, even though Dak got that one Lipke one tacked onto him.
Yeah. It just sucks. Dak Prescott is so far down that list right now from what everyone's
This would
saying.
be a time for us to put another $100 down on it.
It's about I will say
that's
though,
$2,000 if he hits.
Hey, I'm in.
If we could figure out how to do it.
Dak, though, I will say, with Dak is MVP beside the point right now, but I do think he's going to have his first All-Pro of his career.
Deserves it.
Which is going to go a long way because, I mean, out of all of the quarterbacks in the league, I think that it's probably going to be Josh Allen and it's going to be Dak Prescott.
Go back to AJ's looking right now at the passing grades. Go TD. So Dak Prescott has the most touchdown passes thrown. He's the only quarterback with over 3,500 yards thrown and under 10 interceptions.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right there, his stats speak for themselves right now. His stats are the front runner in my mind. Lamar Jackson has 19 touchdowns and 9 or 7 interceptions or something like that. To me, just does not scream an MVP. But he's somehow the huge favorite because
is there a way to? Sorry to cut you off, Anth. Is there a way to like just look at only air yards thrown?
This is.
Oh, well, no, that's total yards,
hang on.
isn't it?
Yes, there is. Let me just get to this quick. I gotta zoom out
because I'm interested. Like you think about the Dolphins' skill players like A-Chain, Mostert in the passing game as well. Tyreek Hill, Waddle, all of those guys are very fast. So they're probably getting a lot of yards after the catch as well. And,
a lot of yak.
I mean, you think about CeeDee, like he's our one and only yak guy, really. I guess you could say Ferguson to an extent for sure. But
this is just passing yards.
No, but he means like if it was just the ball in the air.
Oh,
yeah.
Like say I threw you a 5-yard pass, but you scored a 20-yard touchdown.
Sure.
You caught it, or sorry, 5 yards. You caught it at the 5 yards and then took it another 20. Which I don't know if that stat's really is that really kept.
Hey, AJ's checking it. I don't know.
Like Brock Purdy, I bet you Tua's up there in that realm. Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes are probably those 2 quarterbacks that are lower on that list, especially Patty Mahomes right now because his wide receivers can't even catch the damn ball. But interested to see kind of if you can pull those stats up because I think that's a big a part of like if you're the most valuable player on your team because if you have a guy that's a Deebo Samuel or a Tyreek Hill or a Christian McCaffrey or what I mean, those players are so dynamic by themselves that and truthfully I'll tell you this, like I don't know that a single team can have an MVP and the offensive player of the year on the same team, if that makes sense. Because
AJ found them. And guess who's
You found him?
And guess who's number 1?
Tua.
Tua.
There you go.
So he's still
So number 2 is Dak, though?
Yeah, Dak's 2.
Wow. Okay.
So
Oh,
Dak's
no, that's air yards. So actually, that's a good thing for Tua then.
Yeah, that's what I
He's
mean.
thrown that many.
So
Okay.
so Tua is had 2,500 yards of actual ball traveling, and Dak's right behind him.
Hey.
And Brock Purdy's top 5 there also. So that's surprising.
Gotta give it to those guys.
Surprising, honestly.
Here's just a real quick look at their deep ball passing too. Tua 173 of 10 plus. Actually, let me just jump up here to 20 plus. 53 for Tua, 56 for Dak. They're like pretty damn close until you get to
The
40
40s
plus.
and 50, and that's where Tua gets ahead of Dak there with the air yards probably, because how many times is Waddle or Tyreek Hill catching a 40-yard bomb?
Yeah, well,
right?
Tua has 7 50-yard passes.
That's crazy. That's pretty wild. Dak has 1.
Who's that one too? Well, because CeeDee Lamb
to CeeDee, I think.
No,
right?
CeeDee was 49 yards though. So who would Dak's 50 plus be to?
Let's see if we can think of it. 50-yard.
This is a good trivia question.
Yeah, this is a good trivia. What was the biggest pass play of the year?
I would
Cooks.
Oh
Cooks in it. Was it Cooks in that big 179-yard game he had?
Yeah,
it had to have been.
That's what it was.
He had that. Good call, AJ.
Huge.
He had the crossing route, caught it, and then ran up the sideline.
And Dak to CeeDee was like a 10-yard throw, and then CeeDee had 39 yak yards.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, but Dak has been very good at throwing the ball in the seam. So, and that holds up to my point about Dak. I just didn't expect Tua to be up there, but I guess when you have 5 yards of separation for Tyreek Hill or
you got to think, how many times did Tyreek Hill have airmail catches, right? Like ones that are right up there.
Do you think he has more airmail catches on Miami than he did on the Chiefs?
I'd say close.
Probably pretty close.
Yeah.
Bandwagon Baba makes a point here, and I know that it doesn't
take the easy points.
No, take the easy points. So she says Dak would have to win the Super Bowl to be MVP. So if Dak had already won a Super Bowl in the previous years and he had this type of season, his record or his horse in the race would be far ahead of a lot of the other quarterbacks.
If Patrick Mahomes has identical stats to Dak Prescott right now, he's the MVP.
Yeah, so exactly.
Which is fucked up.
So Dallas wins.
I don't know if they still have the same record as a team though.
And that's what it's all going down to right now. A couple weeks ago,
records for the team, Josh Allen is ahead of Dak on these people's list, and they have a shittier record
because he beat Dak. I told you guys 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, before the Bills game, when Dak Prescott's MVP stock was at a high. It didn't matter what he did prior. If he had to go and beat the Bills if he would have beat the Bills and the Dolphins, you pencil him in as he's the MVP. The Cowboys lost the 2 games. Dak didn't have a great game against the Bills, had a respectable game against the Dolphins, but didn't separate. Even if he would have had a win against one of them, I still think they're looking for him for those wins.
So do we need to have Dak Prescott have 2 monster games plus clinch the NFC East division title?
I don't know if he has
to be MVP.
He would have to have like EJ said. I think he has to have his best game as an NFL quarterback on Saturday.
The biggest thing is I think that the top record in the league right now is 4 losses. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Or
no, the Ravens are the Ravens 11-4 also? I thought they were 12.
They're 12-3.
Yeah.
They're 12-3. So Cowboys would have to continue to win out. They'd only have 5 losses, and the Ravens would have to finish with at least 4 losses, in my opinion. And then that's like, okay, well, there's no like 14-2 record or 15-1s and stuff like that. So the records are pretty close, and Dak's stats are much better than Lamar's or much better versus these other guys, in my opinion, because it is so hinging upon team record for whatever reason.
Which is dumb.
Should it not go to whoever wins the NFC or AFC title? Like, should it not go to that game?
It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be regular
it's voted
season.
on before that.
Anyway. No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, you should go through that, not the Super Bowl. So stops just the game before the Super Bowl, and that's where the vote should come in my opinion.
I don't know because like the Texans weren't really winning all that many games when like a JJ Watt was in the MVP discussion. but you knew that they probably would have 0 wins without JJ Watt.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's of the season. The MVP
Yeah.
is of the season, not, and the playoffs shouldn't be considered.
yeah, that's true.
But
yeah.
but here
That's why I have Super Bowl MVP.
that's right. And the problem is the team's record should come into play in that, okay, if you're a quarterback and you have 1 win, it's going to be, you would have to be playing spectacular with no one on your team for you to even be considered. Just like chances of you performing with that type of low of a record, right? So generally, you're going to get a team who is in the first or second seed for their division, and I think all of those teams are then like, okay, now we can look at all the quarterbacks here. So I think we're moving away from that and now looking more at like who's the best player on the team that has one of the top 3 records, instead of like, okay, of these teams who deserve a look at which player is helping the team the most. It's based way too much on you won, so now your quarterback moves up. It's like doesn't really not how it should work.
And can we, while we're on this deep dive of MVP talk, can we just look at Lamar Jackson's stats 2023 stats?
Yeah,
because 19, I mean,
Food for thought.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Ants.
No, go for it.
Lamar just passed Kirk Cousins in passing touchdowns for the season. Kirk Cousins has been out since week 8.
He has 19 passing
His
touchdowns.
19 passing touchdowns.
3,500 yard, 19 passing touchdowns.
I guess the 3,500 yards gives him a little bit of credence, bit.
He has 737 or 750 rushing yards with about 5 rushing touchdowns.
That still doesn't do it for me.
And his QBR outside of the San Francisco game is not that great.
Who was it?
Pull up his turnovers.
Lamar
though.
Jackson.
Right.
If you're gonna add in the rushing stats, you have to add in all of his turnovers, and I think he has double the amount of turnovers as Dak.
No,
less touchdowns overall.
I think I think him and Dak have the same amount of turnovers.
No, but fumbles.
Fumbles. Sorry,
fumbles added in.
Right.
So same amount of games.
One thing I question though is like, I don't know how deep you guys know about MVP history, but there's been co-MVPs before. Peyton Manning and I think that like the old Titans quarterback had a co
McNair
MVP year. Yeah, McNair, I believe. Or it might not have been McNair. Don't quote me on that, but it was somebody. It was another quarterback. I know for sure. And then there's been a co-MVP with a running back and a quarterback before. So I wonder if this is maybe one of those years where nobody really stands out all that much, but how do you give it to one guy over the other? Maybe it is a co-MVP year.
It's just such it's a really strange year because there is no real clear cut guy. Like it's super strange to look at. Just AJ had the Dak Prescott, Lamar Jackson stats up there for a minute. And it's weird because Dak has the 30 touchdowns. Lamar only has 19. And then if you factor in, I guess, even if you factor in the rushing,
which I was just pulling up,
but that only puts him up to 24 total touchdowns. Then you also got to add into his fumbling. So I get it. I get his team's 12-3 and rolling, but that shouldn't automatically put you at the height of the MVP discussion.
Yeah, he's had 11 fumbles. I mean,
that's and how many lost does it say?
No, that's just lost.
That's lost fumbles.
I believe that's lost.
If he has 11 lost fumbles, that is
StatMuse.
That is mind-boggling.
And you could type it in. Fumbles lost. Lamar Jackson 2023, and it will pop up. Exactly.
That is, if Lamar Jackson has 11 fumble lost, that puts him up to 18 turnovers on the year. It only puts him up to 24 touchdowns. That's 24 touchdowns to 18 turnovers. That's not great.
6 he's lost.
Okay, 6. So that makes 6. that makes it a little less. So he's got 13 turnovers, and I mean, my biggest thing for me is the touchdowns. Like that 24 total touchdowns.
I will still take those 11 fumbles though and mark them all because your teammates bailed you out on 5 of those. If my math's correct. And if you had 1 lost fumble and 2 or 3 fumbles, okay, but like 11 fumbles, you're still giving the opportunity for the defense to get that ball.
You're holding it out there.
You're still like if your running back had 11 fumbles, you'd be
pissed.
Fucking sticking.
If your running back had, I think Zeke is really bad year had about 6 lost fumbles, and it was like the world was over.
Search up turnover worthy plays on PFF. for
Oh
Lamar
yeah,
Jackson.
AJ loves the turnover
I
worthy
got that.
plays.
I got that right here for
'Cause
Lamar.
I know Dak is down there on those, and I assume that Lamar is probably up there with the turnover worthy plays because I do
Dak
T-
12,
think that they
TWPs,
attribute
Dak
the
12,
fumbles.
Lamar 15.
But it's also the turnover worthy play
percent.
percent. So 1.9 to 2.6, which is quite a big jump, 0.7% jump.
Mm.
You know, that's 33% more than Dak.
Can
The
we just
drop-
get sorry?
What
and
is the DRP drop rate?
Drop rate.
And I know we're making
Or
AJ.
drops,
We're
okay.
putting AJ
Drops.
to work right now.
Yeah.
Good.
But can you just go to Lamar Jackson's like his ESPN stats? I just want to see his game stats, like each
Yep.
game. Like I want to see what his best game was. Like how many touchdowns for 19 touchdowns in a season. You're right now. You're averaging
3. He had like 3.
that would
been
be
his best
there's
game.
got to be a lot of games that he didn't do anything.
The only reason I know is because I was looking at it last night before we went in the 8 o'clock spot.
Okay, so here we go. So we're looking at his regular season here because he did miss a couple games, didn't he? He's played what 1, 2.
No, he's played all
He's
15.
played all of them.
He's played all of them. Oh, for some reason I thought he was out.
Me too. But
I thought he was out for some reason.
so where are we? I'll just look at the top here. So we got that.
3
in.
against the Rams. That was an overtime game.
And
then
then
So-
Detroit.
and then against the Lions.
I mean, granted, it was a walk off.
Lot of
but-
ones though. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Well,
5
3
ones
against
and a
Detroit.
0.
3 throwing touchdowns against Detroit and 1 rushing touchdown against Detroit.
Like I look at this and I just don't see.
I wouldn't want these stats.
No, these aren't an MVP caliber person to me. They're just not.
I-
And that's why last night on the 8 o'clock spot, when we asked, is Lamar the MVP? To me, it was a no. I think right now the MVP of the NFL has been Christian McCaffrey.
Yes.
I think he's been the best player in the NFL, and I think he deserves. If you're going to pick someone over a quarterback that has better stats than Lamar Jackson, you got to go with the running back who's been absolutely unreal.
My thing with CMC, I don't know that he's done enough on the ground by himself. Like
Really?
he has all the touchdowns, but he only has, I think, like 1,300 yards on the ground.
But
Don't quote me on that.
But yeah, no, you're right. He's almost at 1,400, but you got to factor in 2 more games. He's going to be around 1,700 plus another couple touchdowns plus his receiving. I'm just saying in comparison. I'm saying in comparison to a quarterback that has 19 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know,
Like 19 touchdown passes. That's in Daniel Jones territory in my mind.
For reference, just going back in history, Peyton Manning won an MVP over CJ2K, which is Chris Johnson, the year that he ran for 2,000 yards, and he was great for the Titans. He won it over him with a stat line of like 30 touchdowns and 16 interceptions,
Which is awful.
and with like 14-2 record. So
Yeah.
you have to be very, 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 very good as a running back to win it over a quarterback, even just a regular statistical season.
Oh,
for a
for sure.
quarterback.
But and that's what I mean though. If they're going to give it to Lamar Jackson over any of these other quarterbacks who to me have clearly better
Yeah.
quarterback stats than Lamar Jackson, an MVP, I guess it also takes into account you elevating your team, which they're the best team in the NFL right now. They're 12-3. I don't see it. I
well,
just
even
don't
with
see it.
his rushing touchdowns added into there,
He's 24 total touchdowns.
Still not up there.
So
Yeah.
But guys, let's round back to the Detroit Lions Dallas Cowboys game. Let's get some score predictions and let's get some bold predictions for this Saturday night matchup. I like the Saturday night game, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
changes. You know why I like it? Because Saturday we get the Cowboys game. Sunday we get New Year's Eve. Which
Get to watch the Eagles lose.
Get to watch these Eagles lose. Then Monday's an off day for most people. Which
gonna be
means,
good.
You know, I'm a freelancer, so it means it's an off day for me typically. So and then back on Tuesday. So we get that extra kind of 2 days of rest, which is
And you know the bandwagon boys and Anthbest like to turn up on these night games.
Yeah,
On Saturday
The night games always get a little bit more cray because
night.
we've been itching all day to crack them.
That's what I'm saying. Night
Yeah, we've
plus
been cracking them
holiday.
all day.
Plus holiday
Saturdays are for the
vibes.
boys. bro.
Saturdays are for the
Come on,
guys.
boys. It's going
For
to be a
the
good
for
one.
the Cowboys.
Yes,
And the
sir.
boys.
For them
Come on now.
boys.
For them boys.
EJ, before we do score predictions, and then we'll let you pick if you want to go first or last.
You get to decide, yeah.
Boy or girl? Did you say you were having?
Girls.
Girl.
And he said he's going to name her Alex.
Oh,
No.
It's just going to name
No,
it
no.
AJ
AJ?
instead of EJ Savage. It's
It's
going to be
AJ
AJ
Savage?
Savage.
Alex
AJ
Johnson Savage. I like that.
Alex Johnson Savage.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have to think about this for a second. So if you guys
The
want
name
to
of
go
your
ahead
baby?
and get your
The name of your
Let's
baby, AJ
No,
Savage.
no,
You're,
no,
you're
no.
considering it.
the
Okay.
baby's name is gonna be Magnolia.
Yeah, I like
Oh,
that.
That's very nice.
Stealing
So, yeah.
Magnolia, great movie.
So we'll just call her like a Maggie or like a Mags.
Yeah,
Nice. I
for
like
short.
that.
That's
I like
good.
that. That's a good name.
Meg Savage.
Meg Savage. That sounds like a really good sandwich.
The Mag Savage,
Doesn't it?
Mag.
Yep.
What's the MAG stand for? Meat and good.
And good.
Meat and good sandwich.
Meat and good sandwich. Okay,
Meat and
I'll
Gouda.
I'll
Meat
lead
and
out.
Gouda cheese.
Meat and
Yeah,
Gouda
meat
sandwich.
and
Meat
Gouda.
and Gouda.
Meat and Gouda. I'll lead out with my score prediction versus Detroit Lions. Man, I always resort back to my 30-30 games.
We're
but
always in the 30s. Like that's our thing.
I got to be a little realistic. I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 24 Cowboys, 21 Lions.
Okay. Ad's gonna give us a good one, like 7 or like 22.5 to
Whoever.
Ad best. What do you
Man.
got?
You got me coming over there in a second. 34-21 Cowboys.
Ooh.
34.
Okay. All right. EJ, do you want to go last or do you want to go before me?
You go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna stick to the Cowboys at home or the Cowboys at home, fellas. And I said this could be a beatdown. I'm expecting a beatdown. They're coming off of 2 losses. I hope they're hyped up. I hope they're feeling this home field advantage that they would have if they took care of business on the road. But they're gonna get it done this week. They're gonna get in the 30s. They're gonna go to the tune of 37, and they're gonna hold those pesky Lions to 17.
Wow.
37-17. Fuck you, Detroit.
I like
Fuck
it.
you,
Fuck
Eminem.
you, Detroit.
8 Mile this, bitch.
Fuck you, Motor City.
I'm gonna go with a crazy one right here.
I like it.
Cowboys W. 45
Ooh, dang.
Ooh, Daddy likes.
to 35.
Wow.
45-35.
That's a fun game.
Okay.
It's a fun game.
That's a fun
It's a good
game right
Saturday
there.
night game.
That is a Saturday night. Is all right for fighting with that one.
And a big George dub.
That's a big George
for-
W
for
right there.
Big Jimmy J.
Huge George W. Come on now.
That is.
Come on now.
I just
Okay.
don't like that they're the 35 points for the Lions.
They're a 11 and
They're a
4
good
team.
team.
I just don't want
That
I don't want it.
offense?
I don't want it.
That offense?
Okay,
That's why.
45-0. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey,
You won over Ad.
before we do bowl predictions, go around the room. A quick over under Micah Parsons holding calls 1.5.
Over.
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 Under. 1.5. That means that he'd have to get 2.
Yeah, which would mean
I'm
it would
gonna go
match his
under.
it would match his season take.
I'm also going over.
Oh, so
EJ
you know
goes
it's not
under,
you know
yeah.
it's not happening if all of us took it.
Yeah.
there's just
That's just-
no way.
That
That's
was my
just
bold
fun.
prediction. Micah Parsons 2 holding calls.
Well, that's
Sad.
right, guys. Because we
Sad
talked about it, I
Boldy.
figure I'm just gonna
Yeah.
get that one out
Well,
of the way.
A crew boldy.
I'll one up you, AJ. I had a question on my show last night. Feel better about a Cowboys win if A, Dak Prescott throws for 260 yards and 3 touchdowns, or it's 260 plus, so he can go over
Yeah.
that, or the defense gets 2 turnovers.
Turnovers for me.
Turnovers for me too.
You got to get back to those turnovers.
turnovers.
Dak's been doing it. We know Dak can do it. Dak can get 260 yards and
Mhm.
3 touchdowns at any given time, and
Well,
I love
think
it.
I think Dak's going to do it. That's going to be my bold. Dak's going to do what you just said there, EJ, plus the defense
Plus
and get
the
2
2 turnovers.
turnovers.
Okay.
I'll always
Ooh,
in
okay.
any stat for me.
I like that.
Any stat for me when it comes to turnovers, I'm taking the turnovers all day, all long.
Was
That-
it
that's-
260 plus 2?
260 plus 3 touchdowns, did you say?
Because the Cowboys can still, in my mind, if Dak Prescott throws 260 plus 3 touchdowns, they could still lose. And I
Yeah.
know you said this isn't a winning situation, but in my mind, if they turn the ball over twice, or if they take the ball away twice from the Detroit Lions, they're winning this football game.
Yeah, I feel the same. I said the 2 turnovers as
Yeah,
well.
they're just
so.
too important. Turnovers are too important.
Any other bold predictions outside of those 2 that you guys want to?
I do like that we just have a couple bonus boldies going around.
I'm gonna go with our Dak Prescott. I'm gonna go with what I said, plus adding on a little flavor that you guys had. I'm gonna go 340 for Dak, 5 touchdowns.
I like
So,
that. That's juicy. That
I'm
is
gonna
juicy.
go- If you're done, I
Yep.
don't know.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a kind of 2-parter. I'm gonna go with a big Cavante Turpin return,
Like that.
kick return and or punt return. But my 2-parter, so that's because that's not bold enough for me. I got to go with something else.
Okay.
But I got to go with a 4-touchdown performance for Dak Prescott, and 3 of them are going to CeeDee Lamb.
I would love that. I would love that so much. CD with the TD get chanted 3 times.
3D.
He disappeared for too long. I
CD
think
with the 3D.
he wears 3D goggles. CD
Yeah.
with 3D goggles.
Yeah,
with 3 TDs.
I would like that.
No, but I just feel like it's gonna be during the meetings and stuff like that throughout the week. Like, listen, this was our spots where we were stagnant this entire however long in the middle of the game against the Miami Dolphins, and it so happens to coincide and correlate with not getting CD the ball. And I think that's going to be a big point in the wide receiver room and the quarterback room, and they're going to figure out a way to get CD involved early and often, and he's going to go crazy, and it's going to be Dak as a result of CD going crazy. He's going to go crazy as well.
I like that. I do like that.
Anth, did you say you're boldy?
No, I'm gonna go with defense because I went with the 2 turnover thing. Deron Bland resets the record for interception return for touchdowns, bringing it up to 6. We haven't had a Deron Bland since Thanksgiving Day at AT&T Stadium. And then I'm not going to stop there. There's going to be another return for a touchdown, and it is going to be by our guy, Jordan Lewis.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
And I'm leaving the Jordan Lewis one open. I'm not saying if it's an interception or a fumble.
Okay, that's fair.
Just a touchdown.
Yeah. And I just wanted to go back to yours, EJ. I think Turpin is long overdue for a breakaway return. He's had a couple where he's, looked like he was going to break through and stumbled, or someone just clipped his foot. And what I do like about him is he gets very frustrated either when he waves a ball off and he felt like, maybe I could have taken it, or when he's almost breaking through, like he's literally just a half step away sometimes from getting it. So.
I would also take.
Actually, let me make it even more bold.
I like
Returns it for a touchdown, and there isn't a yellow flag.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the field
Okay.
after
Right.
the play,
Because he has a couple times and they've been called back.
Yeah.
I'm
Go ahead, Ann, sorry.
also okay with Turpin not scoring a single return touchdown for the next 2 games, and then at any time in the postseason, bring us one home.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm okay with that, but I would love to. I'd like to ramp it up. Also, I'd like for him to take one back this week, and then also, the next 6 weeks,
Yeah. Just
5
playoffs.
weeks, playoffs.
All right, we got those locked in. Pretty good. We'll see how.
What was ads?
How they fare. I'm
taking the one that I'm taking Dak Prescott, 260 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, and the 2 defensive.
Oh yeah, you went
turnovers.
double.
He
You went
doubled-
both. Okay,
doubled it up.
cool. I like that.
What's your
We're all possibly, at least the bandwagon boys and myself, all of ours are kind of interlocked with each other a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Like I can't get mine unless Adam gets half of his, and
I can't get mine unless Ad gets his.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
It's good. We're interlocked here. Yeah. So EJ, we're not wrapping up just yet here, but EJ, you are going to for the game here, game talk wrapping up. EJ, you will be joining us in and out throughout the game, perhaps during the Detroit Lion games.
Yeah, I'm chill to watch it with you guys. That's fine.
Okay, awesome.
I have a dual monitor over here, so I can watch one and stream on the other one. So it should be good.
Perfect. Great. But right now we're going to hop over to the second last week here of our CanFan Bets ad. We both went from nearly 3K. Adam has 100 CanFan bucks left. I have 400 CanFan bucks left.
This just
You have them
shows.
swapped. We have them swapped.
Oh,
right there.
sorry.
This shows people that are listening to the show. If you have $3,000 of
Cash
fictional
out.
money or real money, just cash out and then restart with the $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what?
But that wasn't the case.
It was fake.
This was a battle to the death between you two.
Well, we do have our bets up here, and EJ, we always throw out 500 CanFan bucks to our guest as well, so you'll be able to make a bet with that $500.
Ooh, okay.
It wins you back nothing. You get nothing but respect.
Lose.
Ooh, you get bro. Was that the Willy Wonka drop?
It
That's
was.
Willy Wonka.
Well, yeah, that's Charlie
Ooh.
Chocolate Factory
Actually,
himself over there.
That's a good drop. That's a good drop to get for when a ref throws a flag.
You get
nothing. Good day, sir.
Or even a stop.
So that's
Or a stop,
that
yeah.
one's Willy Wonka, not Charlie.
I know,
I know,
but
but
AJ was dressed as Willy Wonka. and
Oh,
he's-
okay, yeah.
Just
You know,
little-
a fun fact about why they called it Willy Wonka instead of Charlie
Why is that?
is because they figured people would shorten the name anyways, and Charlie would just be weird, so they went with Willy Wonka.
Oh, yep.
Okay.
I see.
Chocolate Factory. Okay, bets. The Detroit Lions at home against the boys have a +6 spread. Moneyline Detroit is +210, and the over/under is 53.5.
Dude, I wonder. So all of our score predictions, I think all of our score predictions hit that.
Except for mine. Mine's only 46 or 45.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Interesting.
You're gonna go
Yeah.
first this time because I've gone first the last 2 times, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though.
I know.
I'll just bet $100.
I might even just hold my bet until the hour before game.
You have to bet.
You have
now.
to bet now.
You can't just hold your
Yeah,
fucking.
yeah, you
bet.
fucking just
Who
because you.
says we never set those rules?
Well, Alex and I just vetoed your choice of.
Yeah, but
It's either you make the bet or we're just gonna bet on something for you.
there's also no
well,
rule.
I don't even
See
have
what
to.
you did? You made a rule and then we just made one up again
Technically,
to fight you.
technically, I don't have to bet. I could hold my $100 for the
That is-
Washington game.
that is true.
Sure.
How much does the?
kinda
It's a
surprised
terrible
at that
idea
spread.
though, because then you
I'll
lose
just bet
next
$1.
week. Then you,
Sorry,
next
EJ?
week. Next week, sorry, EJ, but next week is your last chance. The worst thing you
This
could.
might be my last chance.
Yeah, but if you don't bet anything, Alex would bet $1 next week and he wins.
I guess my problem is I have $100.
I know.
There's not a lot that I can.
You have to. What you should have done this week
I
instead of
know,
waiting
all
till
the
right now.
parlays
You
and
should have
stuff
figured
like
out a
that.
parlay.
Yeah.
You should have
Guess
taken
what?
5 minutes and went on a betting site
Hey.
and did a $10 parlay
The
that would have paid out $1,000.
so EJ,
Ooh.
this is what Ants was supposed to be our betting guide this whole season.
I led them astray.
He's led us astray multiple times.
You hit 3K.
and then he should be guiding me through the parlays right now, and he's not doing that job. So
Ooh.
All
Well,
I'm telling
yeah.
you, if any bet you do, I'm giving you advice right now. Do whatever bet you want to do this week, but next week to beat Alex, you're going to have to go on a website and you're going to have to fuck around with
I'm
a
not
parlay.
going to be able to do. I'm not going to have any money after this week.
Bet,
You
do
know,
a $50
I'll set
bet.
up my own. You said I have 500.
Yeah.
You got 500. Yeah. Okay. So
I'm gonna put all of mine on the parlay right now, and you can figure it out after the show.
Okay.
yeah, you just
My
gotta.
parlay is
Yep.
anytime touchdown for Sam Laporta, anytime touchdown for CeeDee Lamb, Cowboys win, and I need to think of like 2 more for it to really pay out something.
Tony Pollard
Um,
touchdown.
No, hell no, that dude. I think I have better vision than him.
Jake
and I
Ferguson
wear
touchdown.
contacts. Fergie.
Dude, an interception
I'm
by
gonna go with-
an
no, I'm gonna go
interception
with-
by a player would juice it up.
Ooh, that would juice it up. But I'm gonna go with 100 plus receiving yards for CeeDee Lamb, anytime touchdown for Sam Laporta. Cowboys win, and then I'm gonna go with Cowboys. Can you do just like a whole team turnover thing, or no?
I don't know. I'd have
Or
to
it has
look
to be a
into that.
certain player.
I think players usually.
Oof, I don't want to do that because it's so specific.
What
that
about
it
a
would hurt me?
Yeah, it is.
Let me think on my fifth leg of that, and you guys
Okay.
divvy out your money.
So how we do it is parlay. You can do a off book parlay or an off page parlay, but you can't parlay spread, money line, and over under. That's our
Yep.
our rule. But otherwise, you
Okay.
can go at you can bring a parlay however you want in. But that's just kind of I don't know why.
But even like with what you guys are doing, like for Ad to beat you, he would have to do something like EJ did. You'd have to
yeah,
say,
yeah,
CeeDee Lamb scores a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb has 75 yards. CeeDee Lamb does this. You'd
Yeah.
have to build something like that and bet the $100. Otherwise, he has no chance of betting against you on this with 100 versus 400. He has no chance because you could just match his bet.
Yeah.
which
Hey, I got my final leg.
and I
Okay.
didn't do that. So
My final leg, and I'm actually going to add an additional one. Dak Prescott 2+ touchdowns, and then I'm going to say CeeDee Lamb 7+ receptions.
Okay.
I'm
And
just
that's
gonna,
all 500.
You know what? I'm just going to piggyback off of EJ's. I'm going to put $50 down on that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well, me too. Then
See, that's the thing. He has too much money for me to. I can't.
well, because
like, there's
here's the
nothing
thing.
can
I
do
don't
to
know. I don't know what that's going to actually
God.
pay out, and because we
I
can't
know,
calculate
and because
it, I have
but
to.
he
match.
has easy money there. Like he could put $100 out on that if he wanted to, and still beat me. So
yeah, you're in a bad spot.
Okay, I'll do that.
it literally
So
doesn't.
next-
It
so-
literally
okay,
doesn't
time
matter
out.
what I do.
I'm making a rule next week because you are gonna have $50 and he's gonna have $350. You get
What are
one
you talking
bet.
about? Ads is gonna have hella money.
Well, whatever,
No,
but
but
AJ
it doesn't
matches
matter.
it, though.
AJ has more money than me right now, so he just has to match whatever I'm going to do.
Next week, you both have to come to the show with bets made. That's what we should have been doing all the
Hey,
whole
we're
year.
Figuring it out. We're figuring it out.
Next season, the bets have to be brought prior, and then you guys can't steal each other or do what you're doing.
Okay, that's
You'll
I agree with
have
that.
each of your bets
AJ
picked before you come.
I say, how much more money does AJ have than
400
right
to ads hundo.
Okay, so I say that AJ can only bet $5 on that parlay.
He can't. The rules weren't set beforehand.
the rules weren't set. Going into next year, we figured
gotcha.
it out going into next year. Next year, it'll be you guys bring your bets in and you say what you're saying. I get to critique them, and then we figure out how much you guys would get paid out.
Yeah, so they're submitted.
They're submitted prior to the show.
That's fair.
Yeah,
because then this can't happen.
Yep. Okay, so we're gonna do this.
So ads start picking out Alex's moves.
Yeah, exactly. There's literally nothing I can do because he can just copy my.
Well,
bets.
that's what I was saying. For next week, we could also do that where you pick your bet.
Yeah, let's do that.
AJ would go super conservative, and then you're gonna have to come up with something bonkers. You're gonna have to come up with like a $50.
I love AJ's pettiness right there.
Yeah, he has to do it.
Same thing.
You got to.
Oh,
you play for that bottle.
Here, I'm even giving Adam a little bit more of a chance to win because I like doing that next week. That'll be fun. We'll test it. I'm doing $100, so if we lose, I'm shortening the gap.
Okay,
by $50.
And then if you I like it.
But if he loses, I lose. Then I'm $50 and he's at.
But instead of being $350, I'm $300. So if you come in with a good parlay and I just play conservative, you can still win. If you put all 50 in and hit it.
If I hit my parlay and I'm betting 500 on it, I'm only putting $1 on next week, so then I win.
Yeah, it's true.
TGR is next week though, so
EJ's outsmarted it all. Okay, so guys, let's hit up these Fantasy Football League finals before we get out of here.
Well, interestingly enough, next week's guest is going to be Kyle. EJ had a bit of a rough season in our league.
Don't show my record.
No, but here's the thing: it was all very close. Anyone could have won at the last week, and TGR actually did that. Was in last place, moved up 6 spots to the number 6 position, fought through the playoffs. Took out last year's champion, the Cowboys CanFan, and has now ran to the playoffs here. So I'm a little nervous, but he is playing the bandwagon, boys.
Guys, the only reason he beat me is Amari Cooper had 46 points. You guys got that. You guys got that. Fuck. All right. You guys got to hold it down for the show.
I know. Okay? I know. So we got the number 4 overall versus the number 6 overall. Right now it's very close. We got
proof again. You don't want to finish first place in fantasy football.
No.
In any fantasy football league, you never want to finish first.
Well, I finished first and I'm in the finals.
Yeah, so
you're gonna lose. And you both.
I'm winning. Guess what? I'm winning in both leagues this weekend.
I hope so.
Bandwagon Boys and the other league.
Ooh, double champion.
I'm gonna I'm gonna walk in with 2 belts next week.
Here's the biggest. Benefit for the Bandwagon Boys coming up this week. Is he's got 5 players that are questionable. Lawrence, Mostert, Pacheco, Cooper, and Jones. Now some of those might just be typical.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
But if any one of them has to sit out, or maybe they're just like, you know what, we're going to sit you this week, which is not the week to sit a player. Typically, it's going to be next week. But stranger things have happened. So that's the benefit.
What are you guys predicted at scores right now?
It's 107 for the Bandwagon Boys to 102. So pretty much a coin flip right now, or 103.
Very close.
Yeah, real close. It's going to be a fun game
until TGR gets fucking 46 points from one.
Yeah,
can you scroll down and let me see the teams?
The players.
Yeah,
maybe just zoom in a bit from 2 there.
I can't zoom in because I'll lose the.
No, it's okay. I can see he has Trevor Lawrence, Raheem Mostert, Isaiah Pacheco.
The Bandwagon Boys have the better team to me. Just looking at it right now. Plus, their kicker's named Gay, so they win.
Hell yeah.
Puka, yeah. Who's your other receiver? Oh, Rashee Rice. Okay.
Rashee Rice.
Williams, Henry, Pat Mahomes.
But here's our bench.
Has Mahomes been doing all right for you guys?
He was earlier.
If Jacobs is playing, do you guys put him in?
I keep him out because
You have
Well,
other running
actually,
backs
maybe
for Goodwin, Godwin.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
What
mean,
is-
you also
what's the
you also have
projected
Jamar
points for
Chase on,
Justin Fields.
and you have Jamar Chase on.
We got Chase, Jacobs, and Fields. Me and Adam are gonna have to talk about perhaps putting Fields in over Mahomes. But Mahomes has a strong week.
Who are the Bears playing?
Who are the Bears playing? I don't know.
Just scroll down to his
Cincinnati's
name.
defense is pretty good, and
Indy.
the Bear. I mean,
Atlanta.
Sorry, Atlanta.
Atlanta's their defense isn't very good, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's
But
not...
you've made it to the finals, and I'm 11th place, so don't listen to me.
Hey, we'll figure it out. But hey, it was a fun season.
It was fun.
EJ, thanks for joining us, and hopefully you will come back and join us next year. We might do something a little different in terms of like
We're gonna get 2 leagues going.
Wait,
Yeah.
can you pull up the standings? If I'm last place, I'm down to do a bet for finishing last.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, well, standings. How would I do this? I guess week 17. Well, where did you finish?
I'm 11th.
Oh, here we go.
currently, I believe.
Well, you're already. Where are you?
I'm not even in the playoff. I didn't even make the playoffs.
No, but you should have made one of these games down here. No?
Oh,
No. Okay.
didn't tell me anything about that.
EJ was so bad he wasn't even
I was
in the
so
wasn't
bad.
even in the
So bad.
loser bracket.
Wasn't even in the loser bracket. But-
Yeah, we were talking about next year doing a regulation league. So the bottom 2 teams get put down, and then the top 2 teams of the
Relegated.
regular league gets moved up.
We had enough people asked to be in. So yeah. EJ finished last.
But look, 6-8 record.
EJ finished
Dang,
last.
man.
5-9. Like it was super close.
It was close.
But yeah, we'll do something a little different next year. Hopefully, expand the CanFantasy Football League.
All right, guys. Well, we are coming up to a Saturday night football game. We're all excited. I love the Saturday night game. Yes, it gives one less day for the Cowboys to rest. But before we get out of here, EJ, let everyone know where they can find you. Give us your social shout out.
Yeah, Boys in the Zone on Twitter and YouTube. I think you can find me at EJ, the number 2 Savage. And yeah, those are my main social media accounts. Twitter, I'm always on there tweeting something out about Cowboys. And then I run my own show Tuesday nights at 7:30, 8-ish p.m. Central Time. And it's a lot of fun. I get guests on there as well. These guys have been on my show before. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and it's all about Cowboys. And soon I'll be doing the draft analysis and getting that stuff rolling on my channel as well. So
hell yeah,
if you're interested in any of that, tune in.
Guys, we loved having EJ on, but I know it's going to be hard for people to find a Detroit Lions fan in the next few days. But if you find a Detroit Lions fan, how about you go ahead and tell them to go fuck yourself! We them boys. We them boys.
We them boys.
We didn't.
We them boys.
We didn't.
Skirt.